Riverats, you are listening to the River Certified Podcast with Spencer Bow and Ryan Tassler and an array of guests where we cover the fun, interesting, and sometimes rugged parts of spending life on or near the water.
Have you been up north of that beaver dam? I don't want to name bodies of water, but the beaver dam you can see from Google Earth, the great big one that we trap up a little farther north than east of here.
No.
Because that's probably one of the biggest holes of water that would hold some big chubs. It'd be perfect.
I hit it 2 years ago and caught channel cat after channel cat after channel.
So
Yeah.
the all right,
It's
the
another
thing-
good spot for those.
The thing with beaver dens like beaver dams where they create big pools and small creeks, they do hold a lot of creek chubs, but the problem is they roam. Like if you wanted to hit it perfect, you would put a kayak or a small boat in and like troll for them.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna hit them from the bank, you got to be mobile.
Yeah.
Or
Like
set
you-
a trap. Throw a trap in.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah.
Pick them up later.
When you say northeast of here, is that north of my grandpa's?
Yeah.
Okay.
Same family.
I know where you're talking about.
Same
You
family.
know exactly what beaver dam we're talking about.
yes,
then.
yes.
Like I
do.
said, if you can see it from space, you know it's a
right.
And I'm not joking.
There's four of us sitting here, and I guarantee all of us will fish the same spot.
And everybody talks about Century Farms. That's a Century beaver dam. It's been there for as long as I can ever remember.
I'd say that's accurate.
No tannerite.
Well, let's talk
No,
about.
they've tried.
I'd like to.
Let's
They've
talk
tried.
about fishing. I have something that you've probably never considered in your whole freaking life because I know I haven't. And I think about fishing a lot. But Charles Lee, and he's got a pile of good questions. We're going to touch on several of them during this podcast. But he said, I'll start it off with my own personal question. Have you ever caught a flathead without putting a hook into the flathead?
Like lassoed it with the line.
I mean,
Anyway.
Or just holding on to the bait, or is that what you mean? No.
Whatever you
No.
want to extrapolate
No
from
hook
that
and a
question.
fish.
I mean, I've tried. I feel like
I can't catch him with a hook. I can't catch him without a hook.
the last podcast. I told you about the time where I jumped out of the boat. This flathead was swimming up the.
Well,
creek.
you don't talk about like how you illegally captured a flathead. I'm talking about like
It didn't
No, he
happen.
tried.
he tried and he did
I
not
tried.
successfully
He's a
break the
horrible
law.
poacher.
Horrible poacher.
No, I'm talking about how you've been fishing and then you land this flathead with a fishing rod. Just so we're on the same page, Jeremy, with a fishing rod, but it never had a hook actually in its flesh. Has that ever happened? Has that ever happened to you?
Negative. No.
You?
Negative.
You?
No.
I have caught it where my hook wasn't in it.
Oh.
But you hooked the fish. It ran into my line, sent my clicker off.
Oh yeah.
And I reeled the fish in because it was wrapped in my line.
That counts.
Now-
I think that counts.
Who does it count for, though? Does it count for me or does it count for him? Because that's happened to me multiple times. Like, I shit you not, the craziest night of flathead fishing I ever had in my whole life was with Josh, who's Josh Pig Patrol, and then his buddy BJ, and we caught a pile of them anywhere
Like
from
8, didn't you?
No, we caught 10.
Oh.
10 in a night. Well,
that's
actually,
a
we
good
caught
night.
9 before midnight. They left. I go to sleep. I had the bad luck. Like, they left, and the fish were just freaking gone. But and I only,
Josh is laughing right
oh yeah,
now.
yeah. Like we caught 9, and of those 9, I caught 1. But the other one, the one of discrepancy, was the biggest fish of the whole night. It was like 38 or 39 pounder. It ate my bait, swam into BJ's line. My clicker never rolled.
Yeah.
Like he just swam to the side, and then BJ's clicker starts rolling. He sets the hook, fight this fish, whatever, lands it, and then I land it for him, and I see my hook in its jaw. I'm like, wait a minute, you were using circles.
By the way, cancel out that sponsor just said.
Your reminder. But as far as catching flatheads without actually having a hook in them, so you've had that one. I've had 2 or 3. What, back?
I got one. Ryan
Finally?
and I were. Yeah, I just remembered it.
Yeah.
Actually, it was Ryan's hook in the fish's mouth, and my hook hooked his swivel, and I reeled it in.
Okay.
And I reeled it in.
So I'll get
So
to the-
yes, I forgot about that.
So you've had it happen, you've had it happen. The one I'm going to bring up is different than what you guys were talking about, where I've had small flatheads eat a really large bait and you never know they're on there, and you reel it in to check your bait, and there's a a 2-pound flathead with a 9-inch bluegill wedged in its mouth. And with no hope.
Yeah, and he just won't let go, can't let go. Yeah.
Sounds like a muskie.
Yeah, it's like similar concept. And you're just like, if you would have set the hook, you would have ripped it out of the bait and you never would have like landed that fish. And it kind of makes the guy wonder how many times you miss a fish and something like that. But Charles' question is, how do you think things like that, because you know those fish aren't just eating your bait and sitting there with it wedged in their throat. They're eating other stuff and it's wedged in their throat. And I've had little flatheads in bait tanks and I've seen them with, I mean, I had a 6-inch flathead and he had a 4-inch quillback like wedged in his mouth. And just for curiosity's sake, I let it ride just to see what would happen. Yeah. But what do you guys think as far as mortality rates with a fish that does that shit?
Did it survive?
Well, I don't want to ruin the surprise. I'll let you guys answer the question first.
You know, nature is a cruel beast. So things like that happen all the time. There's accidents for people, but we have more technology to overcome it. If a wild animal has an accident,
they die. Yeah. My best analogy is if you were a part of nature, you take the scariest movie with the scariest monster that you can imagine, that you're running from that monster to not die, and that's what it's like.
That's 6 a.m. every single
day. Yeah.
So is that like
you wake
taking
up, you're like, oh shit.
Is that like taking the warning labels off things?
Do you think that the fish just has the capability to get that bait down and digest it properly anyway? Like once it's in the mouth, does the biology of that fish allow it to digest that food?
I'll ruin the surprise. That 6-inch flathead with the 4-inch quillback in its mouth, I just let it ride, and he slowly digested it like a freaking python and ate it.
There was enough saliva or something.
That would be my
guess.
guess.
The stomach acids dissolved it, and he would just slowly suck it down. And his gills were moving, but he wasn't sucking water in through the front. I'm assuming he was sucking water in through the back. What, we got gossip going on over there or some shit?
I think they're going to make out.
Was me saying sucking? Is that what got you going over there? He said sucking 3 times and I can't control myself now.
I should call her.
But, I mean, I've only had 2 flatheads take the bait like that. It never ceases to amaze me the size of the shit they'll eat.
Yeah. But like you said, how many times has your rod been acting funny and who knows what's going on down there?
I've had walleyes do that.
Yeah.
I've caught a walleye. I caught like an 18-inch walleye with you one time.
I generally catch...
It was on there for probably an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I just thought it was my bait.
It's 1 to 3 a year that I'll catch while flathead fishing.
I think the thing that saved him is he was able to stay down low. But if they would have came up, I've seen plenty of fish, walleyes or bass with another fish stuck in their mouth, and they're up on the top of the water. So they're not getting the proper oxygen or movement. Was that flathead able to move around freely and not like panicking with that quillback in its mouth?
The one in my tank.
Yeah.
He wasn't in current. He wasn't in, being chased by something bigger than him.
Yeah, he was in a nice, safe environment.
Yeah, he had all the advantages he could have.
With air down low.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that makes me think of you ever see the video of the flathead with the basketball shoved down his mouth?
Yeah.
You ever wonder, did he eat that or did some asshole just shove that
Some
basketball
asshole,
down his
dude.
throat?
Yeah. I don't know.
No way.
Flathead hit some big shit.
They do, but it's a basketball.
Yeah.
It's not like a
buoy on the water, it ain't going to come up and just...
He doesn't know it's a basketball. You know what I mean? Like, he's never seen one before. I've seen that basketball before. I ain't eating that. He's never seen it before.
But that's why
not in a million years he ever seen a basketball.
But that's why he wouldn't.
So how
eat
did
it.
that perform in the water? It's probably bouncing around or something, and he.
No way, man. Like that's why he didn't eat it. Like he didn't eat it because he'd never seen a basketball before.
I don't know. Why
do you think
why do fish eat night crawlers? It's not like they're common sake.
I bet they're more common than you think at certain times of year.
After floods?
Maybe on the edges, but like out in the middle of a pond, How many night crawlers you got swimming around out in the middle of the pond?
I bet you'd be.
I bet they'd.
Ones.
Especially
Yeah, right.
elevated.
You ever walk around the woods at night after fresh rain and notice how many night crawlers are crawling on the bank?
Yeah, but like I said, they don't get out.
I mean, you ever look at
Somewhere.
a storm drain and see how many night crawlers get washed in a storm drain?
That's true.
And then you think about all them night crawlers on the bank
Getting
after
washed down,
fresh rain.
after fresh
when they
rain,
get
big
washed
rain.
down.
That's
They'd
true.
make it to the water stream.
That's true.
And there's a reason channel cats concentrate, especially channel cats, all fish, but I mean the ones that resonate the most with me, they concentrate around spots where water flows in after a big rain. I mean, the fishing conditions are trash usually after front rolls through, but Charlie Channel Cat saves the day because you can freaking go to that little spot water's running in and just pound on them when you shouldn't be catching anything because the air temp dropped 25 degrees and the water comes up 4 feet and they're freaking right there.
Piled up.
Yeah,
That's why I like watching Josh's videos because he's a nightcrawler freak, man.
Yeah,
And they
Well,
don't. They
people
don't
can
even
relate to it.
bite. They're just sitting there with their mouth open, just waiting for it to filter feed through 'em.
My dad always told me the best bait was like 19 night crawlers on a freaking treble hook.
Dude, if you wanted to catch flatheads, it'd be tough to beat a pile of night crawlers on a hook. The only
Especially
problem,
in the spring.
The only problem is the bycatch, which it's a problem or it's a solution. You know, if you just want to go fishing and catch fish, it's great.
Sure.
And then knowing that at any moment a 40-pound flathead is going to scoop up your wad of night crawlers is kind of cool, but I'm kind of jaded in the fact that I don't want to catch carp and drum and shit like that.
Night crawlers are still our bait of choice on Lake Erie for walleye.
Yeah,
Still,
but
you know,
I'm
and that's not
jaded.
a natural bait out in Lake Erie.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like we talk about them inlets and how the crawlers work, but 8 miles offshore on Erie, there's probably
No
not
way.
very many night crawlers.
Yeah, rocky bottom like that. No, there's no natural night crawlers that far out in Erie.
I wonder if there's something in the water that looks similar to a night crawler or smells similar to a night crawler and doesn't even look like one that they're used to eating.
bleach.
Maybe
That'd be the closest.
Roughly, but what are you hooking that worm to?
a
A
blade,
spinner harness?
a blade.
Spinner harness with blades, but the funny thing is if you don't have a night crawler in there, you won't catch the fish just on the spinner itself. You know, you reel it in, man, there's nothing on this. You pull it in. Oh, there's no night crawler. Throw a night crawler in there, put it back out, you catch fish.
Right.
So you're right. I think the blade has a lot to do with the presentation and
Them
and
finding
attracting it
that
for sure.
night crawler.
But
Bringing them
the
in, and then the night
it's-
crawlers.
It's got to have it. It's got to be there.
Right.
I don't know what it is about it, but to go back to, is that a natural bait for the fish? No, not at all. They're not picking up night crawlers off the bottom of the lake.
Well, in Lake Erie they are because they see 10,000 of them every single day.
Right. Right.
Like, oh, that one's going 1.5. I can catch that one.
And there's an 8-pound weight.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and if you guys use night crawlers, even for catfish, the best spot to go get them is just golf course fairways.
That is tough to beat.
Nice irrigated turf, and the nice thing is the grass is so short, right? So it's getting mowed at 3/4 of an inch or maybe a little bit lower, and the night crawlers are just right on top. You can see them. You're not hunting for them, and you just get down on your hands and knees and start crawling around, and you can have as many as you want really fast.
Me and
know.
Jay, I sometimes go, but they always go to Lake Erie every year.
Right.
So the weekend before, me and Jay go out to our local golf course and get 10 dozen night crawlers. You know how long it takes me and Jay to get 10 dozen night crawlers?
Good.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's that fast.
8
And
minutes.
you're loaded, and they're big. Like they're bigger than the ones you can buy at the store because they're nice, great, big, long, juicy, mature night crawlers.
I'd get
Farm
called
raised.
in if I'm walking around on a golf course with a headlamp
It's
on.
public course.
Yeah, it's public course. See, I used to own
Oh.
it. So I owned it for 4 years, and I always joked I should have called that golf course Raccoon Valley Golf Course and Bait. I might have made more money on the night crawlers than I did the golf.
You probably could have.
Yeah.
I need to introduce everyone before we get too far. We got Jay Goffner. We got
I'm a regular. Everybody knows me.
You have been. We got Joby. We got Jeremy. So we got Triple J.
The triple threat.
Yeah, we got Ryan, the Flathead Assassin.
And I have 2 F-bombs to erase already.
Yes, you do. And you'll miss.
I'm real proud of myself.
You'll get one of them. And then I'm here, Spencer. I got a question for you to lead into some good conversation following that introduction. But, well, actually, I'll be interested to see how this plays out because you guys are in a fairly unpopulated area. But how do you feel about combat fishing, like shoulder-to-shoulder fishing?
Ooh. Walleye fishing. That's the first thing I think of.
That's the first thing I think of.
Is walleye fishing.
Yep.
I would agree with that because when you're on Erie, you can almost be dodging traffic, and you're thinking about a lake
you're
that
in
is
a train.
big as it is.
See,
and you've got to dodge boats as you're trolling for walleye. That to me is about as combat as it comes. Around here,
I can't
if there's
imagine
somebody
that.
there, I'll just go somewhere else.
Sure. I can see what you're talking
Or
about.
figure out who they are and go fish with them for a little bit. So
Throw them a beer.
right, exactly.
And then there's Joby and I. We fish the river around here. You come up on me.
They
We're
hold
fishing.
hands.
We'll hold hands.
Yeah.
Hey, I heard you were catching fish here. I'm going to catch them.
Yeah, we're catching something.
Yep.
Might be gonorrhea.
Which around here we don't have that problem. But when I went over to, I've had to battle with the locals. Like soon as they seen an out of county plate, they will. I mean,
dude, just think of when we were in high school. If somebody came to our square that wasn't from Jefferson, would beat their ass. Thing on a goddamn river.
So agree. That's the reason I brought it up is because I didn't know how much like experience you'd had with that, where you're because on those bigger waterways with a lot more people in more populated areas, like shoulder to shoulder is no exaggeration.
No,
you know, because people say, "Oh, it's shoulder to shoulder," and then you go there and you're like, "There's four freaking people there," you know, and it's this giant ass river, and they're like, "Well, there was somebody on my side of the river." So. but I'm talking like real stuff, like early spring walleyes where there's nothing biting, so anybody who wants to fish at all is below these spillways, and it's right next to each other, like that shit. If you're in the right mindset, it's fine.
Yeah.
But if
you could laugh off,
just don't cross my line.
Because there's gonna be mishaps.
It's all about my expectations of the trip. Like if I'm expecting it to be that way, it's fine. If I'm expecting to be by myself and there's a dozen people there, I'm like,
I zigged.
Right.
I zigged when I should have zagged.
Exactly.
You nailed it, Spencer. It's below the spillways. Like when I would go to and fish
Quit
there.
saying names, douche. You're making my job hard.
It's all right.
He only gets about half of them. So.
But fishing along the bank of there, like there's plenty of stretch of river. Like you don't have to come within arm's reach.
But you kind of do because like you have the A spots and then it goes from A to like.
Hey, you should have showed up earlier than me.
That's fair point. But the thing is, there's only so many places that have fish. If I show up there, I'm going to make friends with somebody. I'm going to be real.
He's going to be like, look, Big Bird. Cast right.
See, I would be the opposite. I'd probably make enemies because your first cast down there is when you're off. You don't have it dialed in. And so I'd probably get down shoulder to shoulder and then cross that guy's line. You oh, sorry about that. Let me get on the other side of you. Making enemies right away. Like, get this guy out of here. That'd be me.
That's
right
how
there.
you leapfrog to the A spot. You cast over people.
You crossed my line. You crossed my line.
I'm sorry. I'll just go on the other side of you.
Well,
you do that 4 times, you're in the prime spot.
Because eventually somebody's going to leave.
Or somebody's falling in the water.
And slash your tires on the way out.
That'd be my luck. So no,
3-ounce weight with a treble.
I'm not combat fishing shoulder to shoulder. I just won't do it.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan either.
No.
My favorite story with the old combat fishing, it wasn't even real combat fishing.
There's 2 of you.
Is
that the one you're talking about?
Yes. Yeah. There's a spillway, and there was a pile of people there, and that's where I was originally going to go. And there was a pile of people. I could have made friends. I decided I didn't want to deal with that. So there's a good.
It's hard for Spencer to make friends.
There's a good hole downriver, which when the water's dropping, which it was. The dam can still be good, but then so can that first hole downstream because those fish are at that dam, and then the water drops and they slide downriver. Well, there was some old boy.
Or there's 82 people there, and they're like, I'm out.
No, I mean, that could play a factor in too. But I go downriver to this first hole, and there's a guy there, and he's this old dude with his creel, and he's got these waders that are older than I am, and I'm just trying to paint you a picture. I'm not talking shit.
Yeah.
Okay, and
now commence talking shit.
it wasn't. I'm gonna talk reality. Okay, this is what happened
already.
I walk down to the water. This guy's casting, and I say, "Hey, man, I think communication's important in these situations." So I always try to, talk to the person first to get a feel of where they're at.
Excuse me, douchebag.
Right. He was there first. I can't beat. He beat me to it. So more power to him. And I say, "Do you mind if I make a few casts downriver from you?" And he says, "I don't like it when somebody's fishing within a mile of me."
A mile?
A mile. That's
turn around and walk away.
Verbatim. That is what he said. Like, I'm not extrapolating.
So I peed on him.
But at the same time,
beat that 7-year-old dude's ass.
at the
A
same
mile
time,
on
have you
public
not
water,
been
that's
able to
ridiculous.
relate? Have you not been able to relate to that? Like somebody's
Not
casting next
on-
to you. If,
All right,
if you're asking nicely,
Jeremy, honestly, you don't know me that well. I don't give a shit.
I don't
Like,
either.
if somebody wants to sit on my shoulders and cast, like, more power to you.
I
Just
would if I
don't
knew you were
mess up
fishing.
my cast.
Yeah, like, as long as I can cast a bait in the water, I really don't care. Not everyone feels that way, though, and I'm also open to that concept, too. He said that, and I just kind of giggled a little bit because it caught me off guard, and then from that generation, that seems quite counterintuitive to the message they're trying to promote to the general society, where, like, these young people are doing everything wrong and are assholes. And I'm like, well, you're kind of an asshole, but I'm going to leave.
But you asked nicely.
I did. I asked nicely.
Yes, nicely.
He told me how he thought about it. I thought it was a ridiculous
At least he was
statement.
honest.
You know where this plays out the most is ice fishing.
Yeah, it really
Those
does.
frickin' towns
Well,
on the frickin' ice.
Here's a new
That's true.
question for you. I want to hear your thoughts. Who are the touchiest anglers? Groups of anglers about getting too close.
Ice fishermen.
Ice
almost
fishermen,
have to
hands
be.
down.
More than the walleye
Yes.
guys?
I would
I
say
would
so.
say so.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
But coming back to that combat fishing, I'm kind of like that old man. Like, if it's somebody that's
You're
my
like,
age
you
or
have
older,
a hunchback.
yeah, get out of here. But if he's got a kid or something with him, like, come over here. I'm catching a couple, and then I'll literally probably stop fishing
But-
just to watch that kid try to catch
But
it.
this wasn't a secluded area.
No,
this was a very public,
There was a
well-known
parking lot
spot.
50 yards away.
Yes.
And I could have been a dick and just fished next to him, but I took the high road and did not. I don't need a
that
pat on the
boy.
back, but
For you, Spencer.
I'd have pissed
let's
on him.
all give him a pat on the back.
Yeah.
the guy could probably
First time for everything.
The guy might have hopped out of his wheelchair, to get to this spot for all I know.
Did you say he was out in his waders in the water? So he didn't want nobody in that area.
Dude, everybody was waiting. The area was close to my house. It's a type of area where waiters kind of allow you the option to, present a bait in different ways
And piss everybody else
And
off
get
if
closer
they
to
don't
that
have 'em.
spot
Yeah.
instead of casting from the bank.
exactly.
So
So,
you can
if
cast
you
to
don't
the
have
dam.
waiters in those types of areas, you're kind of an idiot.
That's why when the first time me and you met, I was
You
wearing
had
waders.
But you're still an idiot. That
Yeah.
just
Oh, come on. you-
What's the deal with the trapping? Like, I never hear a fisherman bitch like, "Oh, I'm not making as much money fishing. Maybe I'll just quit." But that's like a thing with trappers. Like,
trapping
prices
is
are
a lot
down.
of, it's a lot of work.
Like flathead fishing, is it?
A lot of work.
No, I would say trapping's way more work because you got to do preseason work, during season work, postseason work.
Every day.
I mean,
every morning.
Yes, every morning at 4:30, my alarm goes off. If I want to or not, I'm out.
Do you
of
think
bed.
it's more work or do you think it's the grind that gets you?
It's both.
And these two are grinders.
and,
These two are trappers.
and you catch
Yeah.
something if you decide to harvest? The work has just begun.
two of the
The
best
fun's
trappers.
over. The fun's over and the work begins.
Yep.
You got, I get off work. Let's say I go wake up in the morning 4:30, run till 7, work from 7 to 6. Then I've got 4 hours of skinning and freezing, and then I got carcasses to dispose of. Then I have, all this crap.
And then I've got fur to put up, or we put it all up. So then back at my place, I'm fleshing, stretching, drying, all that. Except for this year. This year, good story. We since the prices were so bad, we decided, hey, let's just keep our fur a year. We'll sell the otter, we'll sell the beaver, but we're not going to give these coon and coyote away. Just store them a year. Maybe the market will get better next year. If they do, so be it. And if not, whatever. What are we out? Nothing, right?
It did not get better.
So I had them in the freezer. My wife goes, I think there's a dead mouse in the garage. So I roamed around, and I'm like, what's that smell? And I walked over by the freezer, and I was like, no. And I cracked it open. I about fell over. Freezer quit in the middle of the summertime. Oh. And I had that thing clear full to the top. And when I opened it up, I could tell the fur had sunk about a foot.
Gross. It was completely full.
It melted.
Not only gross, but there goes $2,000.
It was gone. Yeah. Everything. It wasn't that much, probably.
It was
at
least
so bad.
At least
maybe
$45
bucks tops. Yeah. But anyway, so I'm like,
but on a normal year, yes.
But now it gets worse. I got to get rid of it, right? So I waited till the night before trash day and got my contractor bags, and I'm like, here we go. Cracked her open to start scooping up into these contractor bags and hauling them to the curb. And my daughter woke up, and she was like, what is that smell? And I told her what was going on, go back to bed. And she goes, Dad, the cat's throwing up. Like, the smell was so bad, my cat was puking in the living room. And I guarantee neighbors are probably waking up. I'm dragging these bags
There's
out.
There's not too many things you could say that explains how bad it was.
This was
other than the cat's
no, the bottom of this freezer was like, I called it fur soup.
What?
It was soupy.
Time out.
It was soup.
Why did you just throw the
whole thing away?
So it gets worse. So anyway, I'm like, this is the only way I'm going to get rid of it. So I get it all bagged up. Off it goes. Thank God. And the garbage man, he blew one bag open. He loaded it, so it was all over my concrete. So I had to go hose that down. I mean, it was just a disaster. So anyway, I got this freezer. It don't work. I duct taped it shut, and I run self-tapping screws, and I screwed it shut. And then I called the junk guy to come pick it up. And so he come picked it up, hauled it off. And I told him, well, don't open it. I told him what happened, and he goes, oh, but it's empty? I said, well, yeah, it's empty. I got to get rid of it. And he goes, oh, normally we just take them full. Son of a... Are you serious? Yep, he would have taken it clear full.
Where was your partner in all this? You had to do it all by yourself?
I'm not.
Giggling.
I'm not that mean.
You should have just called me. I would have stayed straight, apparently.
Ooh, catfish bait?
No, it would have killed catfish if that went into the water.
Dude,
it was terrible.
It makes me feel better about. I had 100 baits die after we moved to our new place, and I think it's the water from the city. Like they must
chlorine level was high or something.
Chlorine
maybe.
Or chloramine or they're treating it with something different. But I had 100 baits die in my garage that I love.
Yeah,
like it is.
Been there.
Well, you've seen it now. Like
it's
a badass garage.
Yeah.
It smelled terrible, and my wife was not impressed either, as you can imagine.
Yeah, that's
just
is...
like a drop in the bucket compared to what you.
I told Ryan, I said, I'll take the skunk smell. Skunks are fine. I'm not even worried about skunk. This was 10 times worse.
Skunks you could almost argue that skunks don't even stink. Like skunks are just
they
powerful.
Don't bother me. They're powerful.
It's just a powerful scent.
They're fine.
But you remember the first year we went to Texas, and I had a carcass pile out here that was frozen.
Oh yeah.
And then we got back from Texas, and it was no longer frozen. It was that smell, but in a confined area.
It can't smell any worse than my feet right now.
It's your feet. No. You're the guy.
I'm that guy.
Well, you actually work for a living. I just screw off. So, like,
feet smell can be bad, too.
You have, like, legit reasons for your
I'm over here curl my toes because I can smell it.
All right. So you guys have all heard the news about the walleye thing.
Of course.
That's funny. Trish just sent me the
she messaged me too. So here's the deal with that. I'm gonna say, let's just say one sentence. You get one sentence, and then it's over. You can't bring it up again. If you bring it up, I'm going to throw a beer can at your head.
Because
A
you've
full
heard enough
one.
about
May or
this.
may
All
not
right.
be full.
Yeah.
One sentence.
One sentence about it.
Do we have to do it now? Can
No,
we go through the
like-
whole podcast?
Like,
I would like to defer to the third period.
yeah.
How many times can I say and?
Once.
Oh, uh-oh.
You're the walleye guy, Joby. I'll let you start it off. Unless you want
I
to
got
defer to
one
me.
word, just absurd, to be honest with you. Like, I was disappointed just watching those clips. Because that's
That's more than a sentence, but I'll allow it.
Yeah.
I see this isn't going to play out very well.
right. It's just something that you wouldn't think out of them kind of guys, to be honest with you.
Well, it's not like you know them.
No, but it's putting weights in a fish. And the funny thing was they didn't need as much weight as they needed.
They didn't
That's
need
why they
8
got
And that, yeah, like it was almost double the weight of the fish.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Okay, Jeremy. Okay. I'll go. I think it's freaking ridiculous that, granted, it's a big chunk of money, but it's not that big of a chunk of money to ruin your entire future within the fishing industry. In any like you have no respect anymore.
Yeah.
Like even if these were guys that were questioned for their morals, questioned for whether they were actually doing it the right way, they passed polygraph tests. Mm-hmm. What?
Can I take Jeremy's comment on this again?
Yeah, you can.
The work.
Well, let me finish. They passed polygraph tests. They got the green light. They were, I mean, obviously, or not obviously. At this point in time, you can just assume any discrepancies were actually cheating. But they pretty much destroyed any future they have to do the things that they enjoy, because they must love it in order to put the time, money, and effort into it that they did, and they don't get to do that anymore. And
not to mention their sponsors.
but that's honestly just a drop in the bucket compared to missing out on the entire experience.
They're losing out on all that now.
Yeah. So you lose the sponsors, you lose that money, but you don't even get to compete. Nobody will let you compete no more.
Nope.
No.
And now you got a felony?
Well, that's
Maybe.
that's
They
like
should be.
Well,
Yeah, 100%.
Like
100%.
Like with all the publicity they've had, they're going to get dinged hard.
Yeah.
They're going to be.
They'll be the
Oh,
example.
Yeah, I
It's-
bet they'll
it's
be an example. And honestly, somebody should be, because that shit happens everywhere.
Yes.
All right,
And
here's my comment.
Okay, Jeremy.
I'm going to bring you to one statement that Jay Goffner says more than anybody I've ever met. The only right way is the right way. If it's right, it's right.
Yeah.
Yep. The right thing is always the right thing.
The
Holy
right
shit.
thing is always the
Jeremy
right thing.
screwed that
So
down.
we're breaking shit around here.
So while you guys are fixing everything, kind of my thoughts on the whole thing. So there's always been cheating involved in any type of
Competition,
competition
period.
sport. Like it happens, right? Like you can get disqualified for I don't know, an illegal motor in a race or whatever.
Can I
Maybe-
interject?
no,
Just a
hang on. I want, but
Not
like,
even interject, I guess.
But there's
just a
cheating
comment.
that goes on in
Inject.
competition coon hunting.
Every
There's cheating
sport.
that goes
Yes.
on. There's
Every sport.
cheating that goes on
GPS
in
collars and
dog shows. I don't care what it is. There's always something, right? So why did this go so viral and so
good
quick?
question.
To make a point.
Is because isn't there was some entertainment value in the way it went down, because the cheaters got caught. And they got caught in the act. They got caught red-handed. And how many times in whatever sport, competitively, that you like, whether it's racing or dog shows or other hunts or bird hunt, I don't care what it is, right? And you know that somebody cheated you, but you couldn't prove it.
Yeah.
You just had a feeling like, gosh dang it. But here these guys caught red-handed. There's no denying it. There it is. And there's that entertainment value in catching somebody being a cheater. And that's when that mob went after those guys. Like, I don't know how they got out of the...
Right.
If there wasn't police on hand, those guys wouldn't have left without a broken nose.
Right.
But to me, that's why it went viral. It was the passion in the mob, knowing that those guys cheated those guys, and it wasn't their first time. And you can tell by the audio, guys are like, no freaking way. don't have to bleep that out.
They did not say freaking.
Yeah, but exactly. But you could just tell there was doubt in the crowd, and when they were called out, they're like, "There you go!" Like they knew it, and they were like, "We're caught," and that's when everybody really came up.
You don't mean doubt. You mean like they knew.
They knew. Absolutely. They knew they'd been getting away with it forever, and they finally had them, and they had them good, you know. So that to me, the reason it went so viral was that entertainment value. If you knew nothing about fishing, right, you could watch that video and go, "Oh, that was entertainment." Did you see them guys cheat? But where's the entertainment value in a guy getting disqualified for an illegal motor or something like that? And well, you guys got disqualified, and is there any entertainment value to go viral? Oh, did you see that guy got caught cheating in a race? Nobody cares.
Just to add to what you're saying, is it was covered by the freaking New York Times.
Exactly.
Like and I think you nailed the reason why. The video itself of people going ape shit over it, and I've gotten a few texts from people who don't even fish.
Same here.
And they say they're surprised by all of that. But the only thing I can say is, you think of all these guys, like walleye tournaments are one thing, bass tournaments are a different critter, where you can make not just a living but extremely lucrative living.
Yes,
if you're top 50 on the Bassmasters,
and they've won that tournament for how many years in a row?
They said they had like
we'll get to that here in a sec,
in earnings or something like that.
Well, sure, if you cheat, you can pull that off. But like Bassmaster guys, top 50, they're making a pretty solid living.
Yes.
Within the time frame they are top 50. You drop out of that, and you're living off
eating spam and eggs.
You're living off breadcrumbs. But I
like spam and eggs.
But with the walleye thing, these guys are devoting so much time. Every tournament angler does that, but their own personal money with little in return, comparatively speaking to like bass.
Yes, just to make that top.
But most of the guys who fish the walleye tournaments, they're not even doing it to make a living. They're doing it to win, so they can have the clout. You know where.
And then we got Joby over here ready to talk.
He's about ready.
He's ready to lose his mind.
He's already used the sentence.
Yeah, we'll let it slide.
But you have to talk about this. This was probably the biggest fishing story that you're going to hear all year.
My problem with getting too deep into this is like I'm sick of hearing it.
Yeah. I agree to that. I agree to that too.
Yeah.
But getting to Jay's point, like the racing and the coon hunting, the purse ain't as big. Like that walleye thing was huge.
But it's not huge
that's 40,000, I think, for top prize.
That's a lot of money from them other guys that are in that tournament. There's a lot of guys, like me and Dawson, that would have a lot less money into a boat and fishing gear, and then you see these guys with a 24-footer with a 90 horsepower motor.
The funny thing is, last time me and Jay fished Lake Erie, we had a bigger bag than they did.
I bet you did.
But the thing that got me out of all of it is I seen clips is the guys in the boat were bragging like, "Oh, I'm confident in our fishing. We're gonna win this tournament," and then
right.
Whatever.
It's all over everything.
All right, Ryan, then Jeremy can say his thing, and then we'll move it on.
Yeah, I'm over it.
I'm over it.
But anytime you have competition, you're gonna have somebody who does not have the mortal fortitude that all of us do.
Yeah,
they're gonna look for an edge, and those are the first guys that are gonna brag when they beat you in a foul way. Mm-hmm. And I just like to punch them in the face. Sure. So somebody on our River Certified group,
somebody like half a dozen people
wanted us to go take down.
I seen that post. I loved it too.
So if you douchebags are listening, I am considering.
No, I'm not. Like
I will fly to you.
I'll put money in on it.
I've seen these guys. Back it. I'm not the world's biggest, baddest son of a bitch. But I'd like a little more challenge.
Me, I'm not the world's baddest, obviously, but I would love to be there to see it.
Jeremy's pretty soft, and I'd rather wrestle.
When you put someone in a front headlock and they kind of, I'd like to see them.
Well, that's a rewarding feeling. Yeah. You go sit in the middle of the woods and not be scared of like the boogeyman or some shit like that. And the reality is, I'm not scared.
I am the boogeyman.
Yeah, I got to deal with Ryan. Nobody asked you to leave, Jeremy. But,
I'm glad he did. His feet stink, dude.
I ain't scared of no boogeyman. The only thing I'm scared of is other people.
Yes, absolutely right.
So that answers the question for me, but what would you rather deal with, like ghosts or crackheads?
Ghost
by far.
Yeah.
No
you can reason with a ghost.
At least the ghost that's in
Say bye, bud. Grab a beer.
You ever had any run-ins with anybody on the river?
Not fishing. Coon hunting, yes. The river.
Wait, I
fishing,
think you
no.
told us about the coon hunting one
Yeah,
where you were like in
yeah.
the middle of a section and ran into people.
In the dead of winter time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ran into crackhead there. He was fine, but I mean,
It was weird.
it was weird.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel threatened or, anything like that.
You were both shook.
Yeah, I mean, it was 1 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, "What are you doing out here?" But yeah, we told
And he's
that
like,
story
"What are you
before.
doing out here?"
Yeah. He had a cooler and a lawn chair in the dead of winter time, and 1 o'clock in the morning. He said he was camping. He wasn't camping.
Do you remember the guy leaning against the bridge pylon when we were downtown?
Yeah.
That was creepy as shit. Like,
And we're talking, we get yelled at by homeless people on the regular.
Yeah.
In some portions.
yeah.
But this dude.
He was wearing this long ass trench coat that went almost down to his feet, and he was a great big son of a bitch. Like,
There was a
you're
lot
big,
of leather.
he made you look tiny. he made me look like minuscule, Like, and he was leaning against this this bridge pylon, and just stared at us.
He was thinking Ryan was cute, probably.
It looked like Undertaker from WWE.
Holy cow! Really? That's exactly what it looked like.
I would have been out.
I will
But
guarantee
this-
you sitting
this
there
went on
thinking,
for-
both these boys do squats.
How long is he watching you then?
Like 45 minutes to an hour. I don't know what's more ridiculous, that he watched us for that long, or we just stayed put.
Yeah.
Like, there's a shot at a flathead right now.
Like, I lost interest, but he did not.
Yeah.
I was like, back to fishing. Want a beer?
But that stuff creeps me out. Like, I'll sleep in the middle of nowhere like a baby.
Yes.
Like, there'll be a mountain lion looking over the top of me, wondering what I am, laying on my cot in the middle of nowhere. I don't give a shit. But if some crackhead's staring at me, then I'm nervous.
It's weird you say that, because every time I sleep on a cot on a sandbar, I think about that. There's a mountain lion or a coyote.
I don't give a shit about a coyote.
What do you do?
Apparently, a coyote will smell your feet and run the other way. So I think you're okay.
Agree to that.
Fair.
But you guys,
mechanism.
Now, for me, I'm very comfortable outside. I can sleep outside, no problem.
Yep.
I can be in the woods in the middle of the night, whether it's fishing, coon hunting, don't care. I'm very comfortable. I've never felt like I'm in danger or feel threatened.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more stressed out in a
I've got a
traffic
gun with
jam.
me more than I don't.
Right.
but
No, we're in
I would
Iowa.
agree with that. Yeah,
I
exactly.
wouldn't be threatened either.
In a traffic jam, I'm way more stressed out than I am in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, Will Smith died in a traffic jam. Not the Will Smith you're thinking of.
I don't watch the news.
Yeah,
Maybe
like-
it did happen, but I don't
He
know.
just slapped Chris Rock. He didn't.
No.
I saw that. That was another viral video.
Different Will Smith. He played
right.
DN for the Saints.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like how you guys stood your ground, though. Because if it was me by myself, solo, I would have been
wasn't-
sketched out and gone.
It wasn't we stood our ground. It was like we got baits in the water.
Yeah.
And
We were there with a purpose.
yeah.
Right.
He was there for some other purpose. Luckily, our purpose
Waiting for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Waiting for you guys to leave so he can grab something to go sell.
Maybe. Like,
Well,
but
I still like our odds. I
was-
don't give a shit who it is or how cracked out they are. Between me and Spencer, we could probably get the job.
like I said,
But
we're
that's-
not the biggest, baddest sons of bitches in the world, but I think we'll do okay. You had any that we haven't been fishing together?
Not really. But I hang out with a lot of shady people anyway, so I'm
Yeah.
kind of used to it.
Obviously, I'm here.
Yeah, I'm sitting next to one.
I got shot at.
Glad you pointed towards
I got
Jay.
shot at one night.
Time
hold on.
out. Time
That's,
out.
that's the worst.
Hold on.
You
So
got
we-
shot at.
Yeah, we
Like,
got shot at.
I've had guns pointed at me for
I have too.
reasons we won't talk about, but
I didn't know she was married.
but I've never been shot at.
Yeah, we were in a competition hunt. We had 4 of us, and the dogs ended up crossing road, went onto ground we didn't have permission on, which is legal to go get your dog in Iowa. We have a right to retrieve law.
Yep.
So we were in there, and you got to wait for dogs to get treated before you can catch them. And somebody from the house in the woods came out to the deck and was shooting. And was shooting in our direction to where you could actually hear, the bullets whizzing, hitting some branches and whizzing.
Been there.
And so the guide in our cast said, well, we can't be here. We're supposed to be over here. And so, and then I think it was him or maybe it was a judge. But anyway, we called the sheriff. And sheriff actually came out, and the sheriff went up to the house and said something like, "Hey, you can't do that. They've got
people out
there's
there.
permission to do that." But
You are shooting.
We
at
were
people.
shot at because they apparently thought we were trespassing, which you still can't shoot at somebody for
Not
trespassing.
here.
No, not at all. Not
in
out there.
Texas.
No.
Yeah.
So, but that's the only time I've actually been shot at. That wasn't fishing. It was still an outdoor related activity, obviously. But and then I had a gun drawn on me one time because I had permission to be on the ground and went down there to go hunt, and we're getting our dogs out ready to go, and the guy come flying down the hill and pulled the gun on us and said I was trespassing. And then when I reminded him that I'd talked to his wife and dropped off deer meat for him and everything, he was like, oh yeah, I think I do remember that, and put his gun away and let it, and I've never been back there since.
Dude, I have a story that kind of resonates in the same vein, but not as extreme. There was he'd still let me go, I think, but no, me and you weren't fishing at this time. I was by myself.
That's the only one that we got warned at that you already had permission.
Was that
he left a
you were
note
there
on your truck?
You were there for
Yeah.
that? Okay, make sure you bleep that out. But we go fishing.
He doesn't listen.
Was it P58?
No. No, I'm talking the location.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we go down, we go fishing, and on the way back, I don't remember if we saw lights or anything. Maybe we heard something. I don't remember. I don't think we did.
So. No.
Get back to my vehicle, and I didn't lock it because we're on private property, and there's literally nothing. If you want to steal my registration out of it, go for it. There's nothing else in there. And I open up the vehicle, and I think on the seat, or I don't remember. I think it was the seat, not the windshield. There was a letter, or somebody had pulled my registration out and wrote on it with a pen, "Don't come back." And then I go to the owner and tell him what happened, and he goes, "That was me." I've fished there for like 3 freaking years.
Same vehicle. He's
Same
always
vehicle,
had.
yeah.
Yes.
And he just must have forgot.
It's an older gentleman that has a very nice property.
Right.
So I'm sure he's used to people going down there.
I feel like I know who it is already.
You might.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, no, I do.
Yeah. Who is it? Ryan will bleep it out. You're wrong.
Wrong.
Oh.
Yep.
Ouch.
Way to go, dipshit.
But he's got a lot of ground down there.
I got so much editing to do.
You do. This will be a fun one. How do you feel about fish handling? And when I think of fish handling in the United States and how people perceive things, I'm talking about like weighing a fish that you plan on releasing.
Like from the catch to the release, what's the protocol?
To it, and weighing is the big thing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, musky anglers get worked up over how you support the fish for photos or support the fish when you're carrying it around. You leave it in the net, blah, 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 blah. Other fish species anglers don't seem to get as too uptight about different things or whatnot. But let's just assume we're not talking about muskies. Let's talk about something different. What do you think is best practice for, well, you're a walleye guy. Let's say walleyes. What's best practice for walleye? How should you support this walleye? How should you hold it for a picture? How should you weigh it? What's the best things to do with that, Joby?
I'm not particular on weighing or anything so much, but I like to be able to get a picture quick and get it back to the water. I've seen way too many fishermen that have a fish in a boat that's just laying there and they're waiting and waiting and waiting to get pictures or weigh it or anything.
So time?
Yes,
time
100%. Right.
How long can you hold your breath?
At least a minute and a half.
And go. I've got a timer ready.
Yeah, because I'm a gambling man. I'm taking the under.
And if you got a minute and a half, we're not wrestling.
How much money we putting on it?
I got $20.
Oh, that ain't enough.
Yeah, for him to pass out because he'll hold it till he passes out.
I will pass out.
He's meat-headed just enough.
What do you want? 2-to-1 odds or something?
I'd probably do it for $150.
For a minute and a half?
For a minute and a half?
That's a ripoff.
I don't think he can do it.
Let me think about
like
this.
I'd have
90 seconds.
Someone would have to plug your nose.
Just so we know, I'm talking to like the gambling of the gambling man.
Yeah, I'm considering
that. Sounds like a good.
We have
challenge.
the poker player compensate.
You got to have your nose plugged some way so you can't sneak a little breath in.
Yeah. Well, you guys know, I ain't gonna cheat.
Can we do that?
I ain't gonna cheat.
Can we do this and
Can't
then we
put
wrestle?
weights in your nostrils. That actually blocks the off-flow flow. So that would benefit me,
We're
not
done
you.
with that. We can't talk about that. I've held my breath for a minute many times. 50%.
Recently?
When you were 16, maybe.
Dude, I walked 200 feet on my hands today during a workout. You know,
and then
now
pulled
you
a
want to
muscle in his
wrestle.
back.
No, done.
That doesn't affect your cardio.
Sorry. All right, I'll still do it, but
All right, it's on.
I think for entertainment value, I think for 90 seconds, we're gonna take the bet.
$150?
Yeah, we're gonna take the bet. This is
Just-
good.
We won't do it on air here.
Yeah, I gotta.
When we're done.
I gotta like calm down.
Yes,
Yeah,
we will.
No, we can't. We can't.
Why
have
not? If
a
Spencer
minute-
passes out, we can still
we
podcast.
can't have a minute and a half dead air time while he's sitting there going.
like a 4-year-old that doesn't get his bag of candy at the grocery store.
I'm sure Jay would get plenty of good commentary.
I'm not like a great editor, but that's not going to bring in views.
There's money going down on the table.
This is legit
$100
now. So there's
bills.
140. I got 150 right there. So there you go. And somebody else can do the old stopwatch here.
Is it? Are we gonna do this now? Or are we gonna wait? You're the editor.
Now we'll wait.
Just go.
Just go?
Yeah. I got the stopwatch.
I feel like I should take this out.
Yeah.
That'll
Hey,
hurt
hold
my
on.
hockey.
Do you
You
want
need-
do
you
you want
need like
something
a
else you want to
swig
talk
of
about
water.
while we're doing this?
Well, you're the commentary man.
Do you need a swig of water or something to, or beer?
You guys talk. Let me.
Right. No, there ain't no practicing up or breathing or anything. Let's go. Straight up.
That wasn't
Not
part
a
of the
full-
deal.
He's not a ninja. Just let him breathe.
Meditate a little bit.
Hey, if it works when he gets that flathead stuck underneath the log jam, now if he wins, he'd be like, "Go get him! We got plenty of time."
I feel like
1:30 on the stopwatch.
All right.
that was a deep breath and a gulp.
Still hasn't hit play.
3, 2, 1.
He's in.
It's going.
He's
It's
in.
He's focused.
Nobody make it laugh.
Oh, no.
Just let him.
We got to fill in a little airtime though. So
No,
we're
it's
gonna-
all getting edited out.
So
We'll
let's get
show-
back to
I'll
talking.
I'll show the beginning and the ending. But the
What
rest of it's
Spencer
gonna be-
was talking about. What do you guys say for fish out of water and scaling and weighing and everything?
Well, I'm not a walleye guy, but walleye are very sensitive versus a catfish.
Right.
I've seen catfish sit on the tailgate for hours. And still, I'm not saying they would survive after that, but I'm saying they've had all their bodily functions after hours of being outside of water.
But
A
what
walleye
do you
cannot
call a respectable time for a fish to be out of water, though?
10 minutes.
10 minutes pretty tops. Yes. 10 minutes on a big fish would be acceptable. On a walleye, no way. There's no walleye going to stay out of the water for 10 minutes. In my opinion. I mean, a lot of times you put a walleye in a live well and he's not alive in a live well
Yeah,
for 10
he's
minutes.
floating upside down.
Yeah. I'm kind of impressed with you, buddy. Keep it rolling.
You're doing good, Spence.
I didn't hear a word you guys just said.
Yeah, he is straight focused on Spencer to see if he breathes anything out. No way.
There it is.
Well earned, my man.
No
well
kidding.
earned. There you go.
Well done.
Extra 5 seconds, just because I can.
I'm impressed. I got nothing.
I ain't doing that.
Can anybody else do that?
No way.
There's no way I could do that. There's no way.
It's just poker money. I took it from somebody else anyway. Oh my goodness, that's impressive. I don't know what you guys were talking about. Like I was glued to him. I'm like, watch his chest, watch it. Like I'm like, all right.
Oh, no. We're
$200 for 2 minutes.
I'm gonna pay my truck off.
That's great.
Unbelievable.
I could have lost $20, and nope. He had to up it to $150, and I just
Well,
like,
that's why I got threw more in the pile, and you bit, bud.
Man, I tell you what, this is a sucker. You said you couldn't beat me at poker, but you can beat me at. You can hustle me though.
Well, I think
you can't
there's-
hustle me at poker.
I think
but
there's
you
a
can
level
hustle
of
me there.
confidence with some things, like you're intimidating in poker, just based on your
I'll play you.
experience. You know.
Well, I want to play him. You know, just to see where I'm at.
Well,
You know?
I feel like Jay played my dad for a lot of years.
Yeah.
I could play him.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, there's going to be about
I
5.
played with your dad many.
There's going to be about 5 people and listen to this podcast, maybe less, that are going to appreciate this. But there was a guy who his name was Marty Sherman, and he would play poker with us when we were growing up, and I played poker against him. He'd swing by on Saturdays just because he liked playing the games and he knew we were playing. And then we went up to Canada with him when I was 18, 19, went a couple years and played poker against him, and he took so much freaking money from me.
But he couldn't hold his breath longer than him.
Right.
He made less money playing poker than he just did right there.
No,
Holding your breath.
old Briar Rabbit. That's what we called him, old Briar Rabbit. He took a lot more money than that.
I
from
feel
me.
like-
I promise you that.
Yeah.
There's been a few times where I've sank a hook into a flathead and I've held my breath for a while. I get it.
Guess you should have took the bet too.
I probably.
Before I started losing weight, I had to hold my breath just to tie my shoes.
And it
Yeah,
wasn't
right.
great.
That was hard. Like,
wasn't
It still is hard.
I had to do it for each shoe. You just sat there for a minute and a half.
Real calm, cool, and collected, burning no oxygen whatsoever.
Ninja-like.
So, Jay and Spencer, what do you think's a respectable time for fish being out of water?
Well, a minute and a half's fine.
I think it depends. It depends.
Right, when there's money on the line.
It depends on the species, right? So,
Right.
Absolutely.
I think a catfish can stay in the water a whole lot longer than a walleye. So I think it's all about time. I agree with you 100% on the time thing. And for walleye, I don't think the weight matters quite as much as the length, right? So like we judge walleye more by length than we do weight. But on catfish, how many times do you measure the length of a catfish? We measure catfish by weight. So
I do quite a bit.
you do a little bit of both.
But that's
Out of a
only,
kayak.
But that's a recent
But
thing.
what's the standard?
No, the standard is a weight.
I agree.
And the length is a recent thing because of like kayak tournaments.
Sure. I can believe that.
Yeah.
So for walleye, I think it's a quick measurement. If you're going to release it, it's a quick measurement. It's a picture and it's in the water. You know, if it's out for 2 minutes, that's too long.
Right.
They should be in there.
It depends on water temperature, I think, would influence it.
I think there's a lot of factors.
And where you're at, because here in this state, you ain't doing that. But when you guys take that trip up north, then...
they don't get released. They go in the live.
Oh, really? All of them?
Cut them all up.
We got our limit by 11:30 in the morning, and there's 5 of us on the boat. That's
Braggers.
30 walleye.
Yeah. There's no slot limit out there, so you're cutting up anything that's over 13 inches, I think.
As long as it's not over 30.
I feel
Over
like
30s go back.
I'm the same way with every fish. Like, it's going to have to be big for me to want to scale it or measure it. But mainly, I'm a minute. Give me a quick picture. Get them in the water.
That's what your old lady said. Usually I'm about a minute.
I've
Get in, get out.
seen-
That's a good day. That's a good day.
I have seen some big flatheads out of the water for hours on end and be renursed to
Time
go back.
out. Here's this. What do you know what happened to him after they're let go? Just because he swims
I don't-
away
I don't
doesn't
know
mean he
that.
don't die an hour later.
I didn't catch it, so I just
But
went,
even if you did, you caught it, you leave it out for 2 hours and you let it go. What
I don't know.
happens to it after that?
Big Mama swam off happy. splashed away.
Yep.
2 hours later,
it dies. You don't know.
I don't know.
But you have that closure watching it swim away. Like, I don't know either.
Right.
I just want it to be open to the possibility of reality. The reality is, just because you watch this fish swim away doesn't mean it lives for another 10 years.
I'm not going to do that to a fish. If I'm going to release it, I'm going to release it right away.
Well, that was one thing.
I will give the Bonita.
The Bonita release?
The Bonita release. I don't care.
All right, so that was one thing I ran into on my Spain trip is people talk about how well European anglers handle fish. And they do go through these elaborate measures to make sure while the fish is out of water, it is well taken care of.
They had like a water bed to lay on.
Well, they did.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Like they had a cradle, or I think that's what they call it. Cool. When I think of a cradle, I think of something in the water, but they had, I think it's called a cradle. But the fact of the matter is that this fish is still out of water for 2 to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I think it's better for the fish, leave them in the water as long as possible, pull them out for a picture, then immediately put them back in the water and release them. And there was a few points of contingency between my guide, I don't claim him, the guide and me, where I said, I just want a picture and let it go. And he argued with me. I just want a picture, let it go. This is my fish. It ain't your fish. You can argue that you put me on them. I paid you to put me on them. And that's a service that I'm paying for. So I paid for
We've
that.
already weighed 100 fish.
Right. I just want to take a picture of it.
And for
put it
you,
right back in the
weight
water.
wasn't important.
I didn't give
Didn't care.
a crap
You caught
about
the
the
fish.
weight.
Great picture. You were
Either
happy.
one of you guys put me on fish, I'm going to weigh it.
And
Because
that's okay
because that's what I
Yes.
want.
Yeah.
But we're not
Yeah.
going to let you hold the fish out of the water for 15 minutes.
In
No.
fact, we're
You know,
gonna
I mean,
And I wouldn't
yeah.
expect that because I know.
and I have a net that is sturdy and durable, and that fish is going to sit in that net until it's time to take him to get that weight. Then we're going to hang him on the scale. We're going to put him right back in the net, let him revive. If you want to get a picture, then you can take him out for your picture, put him back in the net, let him chill out, and then when it's time to let go, I'll tip it over, you can slide him out, and then you can let him go.
Mm-hmm. It may be a 10-minute process between the time that we land him and let him go, but he's in the water in and out.
For 9 minutes,
Yes.
9.5
Yes.
minutes of that 10 minutes.
But
Absolutely.
around here, we're not pulling fish from that far away.
Does it matter? Like the bank is the bank, the edge is the
but
edge.
the depth.
The
He's-
depth,
and
we
they
don't
fight-
have to burp them.
It was
we don't have
35
to,
feet, man. Like they fight the whole way in from 200 yards. Like they're
Yeah.
fine.
But
We just.
I can't run 200 yards.
I'm
right
with
now.
you.
Let alone fighting something with drag. And, I mean, it makes a difference if you fight them for 15 feet or
That's why I
200
want to
feet.
leave them in the net.
Yeah, exactly.
But as far as the depth versus distance, like the depth is a non-factor because of the distance. Like they have burped, they have let all that air out of their
That's
swim
true.
bladders.
Yeah.
Like all that stuff is no longer a factor because you fought them for so long. The issue with depth, at least with catfish, like walleyes and bass are way different. They're much more fragile fish, but with catfish, the depth is when you're
Pussies.
is when you're vertical on them and you're bringing them straight up.
Yes.
They
Don't have time to adjust.
Yes.
So like your blue cat.
Yeah, when you're vertical on blue cats, but if you take your time, that's no big deal either.
Never been there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, you got a flathead out of 107
7 feet.
feet.
Yeah.
And he was just fine.
Yeah. But go back to my previous argument. You could say that I let him go and I don't know if he lived.
That's true. That's true.
I bet he did.
If
I could be
anybody
wrong.
was going to overcome that, it'd be a flathead.
Right. And I could totally be wrong. That fish could be dead right now.
Which
I
would
don't
suck
know.
because he was a dandy.
Yeah, he was.
He was a good one.
He was.
The flatheads are the toughest fish ever.
Them?
They're
Well,
the
all right.
toughest.
Here's a question for
They're
you.
the toughest.
If
I
you had
don't
to
know.
pick, if you had to pick a tougher fish, you going with a flathead or a bullhead?
What about a carp?
No, they're
Carp?
they're pansies.
But they
I
can
would take
overcome.
bullhead.
Did we
They
just-
can overcome so many odds because
But you're thinking holistically over
Yes.
a broad niche from an evolutionary
as a
perspective.
species, yes.
I'm talking an individual fish, which is more likely to survive trauma, a bullhead or a flathead. Carp don't even make the discussion.
I would take
Bullhead.
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 I don't know.
What do you say, Jeremy?
Because we're still talking species.
I'm still drinking from the 3 bullheads ago.
Oh, damn it. All right, I'll drink
Yeah.
one for you.
Yeah.
So I don't know because we're
But
still talking as
honestly,
a species.
bullheads are tough.
Yeah, they're tough. But how many
Any-
flatheads have you had in a bait tank?
None.
Exactly. So how do you know the flathead wouldn't
Wow.
mess it up worse?
Good job.
No, I wasn't trying to prove you wrong. I'm just trying to bring up a point.
No,
We're just
that's
saying you're
great.
wrong.
And
just-
usually I am.
I'm just trying to give you
But
something else to think about, man. Like,
that's something else to think about.
So when you're weighing fish, do you find it more important on how you weigh that fish? Do you like to? I just opened one. Do you want it more weighing it from a net? Are you comfortable with hanging it from the jaw? Does that matter by species?
See,
what's
that's-
your? Because I think there's more controversy on how you weigh the fish.
Depends on how much weight's on his belly.
well, so when it comes to weighing a fish, that's where I've screwed up the most.
I agree.
Because I hang most of fish on by the jaw. I'm talking flatheads.
Sure.
And it all boils down to physics. The more gravity affects the fish, the larger the fish is, the more its strain it's going to put on those different joints, especially in the jaw muscles, or those joints in the jaw, which are really important for a predatory fish.
That's how they live.
They kind of
Yes.
rely on those. Yep. And the majority...
It's like Jay's right hand. yeah, that's what I was talking about.
I figured. I just want clarification. We're talking about beer drinking, right? Okay. I got you.
The majority of the big flatheads that I've weighed, I've hung by the jaw, and
Yes.
at the end of the day, I regret it, and that's why one of the reasons, not all of them, but one of the reasons that I don't weigh that many flatheads, because I don't carry a weigh sling with me.
Mm-hmm.
If I have a
But
net,
a Whisker Seeker net weighs 3.8 something pounds.
So you got to
it's like
3.86.
3.83.
Or
I think
yeah, something like that.
3.83.
you got a base.
Yes.
And if you can weigh in the net, that's fine. But I haven't always had a boat. I haven't always had means of
Yes.
carrying that.
Yeah.
Sure.
And when I don't have those means, I just don't weigh them unless they're a freak show and I really want to know how much they weigh. And when I do it, I regret it. But would I do it any different? Probably not, because I really want to know how much they weigh.
Same.
Sure.
Same.
And I should get a weigh sling if I want to do that. Like, I should just have it because they don't take up that much space or that much weight.
Are you going to carry that in your kayak too?
You could, because it doesn't take up that much
It
space.
folds
or-
up. It's like 2 sticks with a tarp.
I would say guiding
That's
would.
the way it should be done.
I would
Yeah,
say guiding would
absolutely.
be cool for you guys with all the different people that go fishing with you. But like for us solo trips or
Yeah.
buddy trips and stuff, I'm not.
Yeah, I've
I'm not
weighed
big
every
on it.
fish caught on a guide trip.
We're
But
ja-
it's
we're
it's
jacking
been
them
in
bu-
the net.
Yeah.
Then you deduct 4 pounds.
I'm jacking them by the jaw. I am.
And I ain't going to knock you.
I like the idea of the weight sling.
Because
and-
I don't know about the weight sling.
Now you do.
Now I do.
Education's power. But
Education is
like I've
power.
known about it for years and I still don't own one.
But-
I
but-
should, but I don't.
You should
But
make a
I
river
will-
certified one.
I will-
You should have one
Boom.
made. It
There-
wouldn't be that hard, right?
There's a
it's-
lot of
I'll
companies-
buy it, get one going.
I will legit say here and say I'm not going to grab them by the jaw like I used to, you know,
Without cradling the,
The double
belly.
hands.
Yeah.
without cradle on the belly.
Yep. And I think that's
I've
more of the
learned-
standard now. I think that's how most people do it.
I've learned.
Because I think they're more aware.
Knowledge
of
Yeah.
is power.
Absolutely.
You don't know till you know.
Jay nailed it. More aware. Like I would have never known about a lot of it if it wasn't for you guys in your
turn
scent.
that fish sideways
Right.
and holding it up correctly.
And it looks way bigger.
And they look way bigger. They look way bigger. I'm sorry.
Cradle the belly.
You can take a 20-pound fish and make it look real big, real
Yeah,
quick.
juice them. You know, just
Especially if your arms are straight out, because I can hold a 20-pounder out
Yeah,
here,
but
but
my
not a
arms
50.
are only 3 feet long.
Yeah, yeah, we got that problem.
T-Rex it. No, really, it's 50. Bullshit.
Spencer will never have that problem. He's a big bastard.
here's something to think about as far as photos and how you take pictures of your fish. You could argue that you don't want to do that because you make it seem bigger than it actually is. But for me, I want that fish to look as big in the photo as it does in my memory.
Yes.
So I turn, I position the fish to like display its most like the best characteristics of it. So a flathead, I'm turning it so it makes it broad. You know, walleye, I'll hold it straight up and down. A bass, I'm holding it, you know, under the belly by the lip, showing off.
Yep.
When
The
I
greenness.
The
I
greenness.
want to see
So
all the greenness.
we all learn by you now. I'm sorry.
Your
I
life
caught
is set up for
But
failure.
you're perfect. Exactly right. Exactly how it should be.
Let me ask this question then. What do you guys think about them photos when people hold them over their shoulder with their mouth open?
I think 2 things. 1, that's hard on the fish. 2, you're going to get shit on.
You can't see half the fish.
No, I absolutely hate it. I hate it.
A flathead has a huge head. It does.
Yeah, but you can see that from the front or the way you hold it.
So does Ryan.
Not like this. I mean,
I don't know how that got popularity. I really don't.
I think it's.
I don't know how your big head got popularity either.
I think it's. I caught this fish. I beat this fish. I display this fish however I feel like because I conquered said fish, and then from that, I'm not saying everyone feels that way, but I think that it originates that way, and from that, people are following. Yeah, like that's a cool pose. I'm going to do that, and I'd be lying. I did it once.
It's funny.
I did it once.
I did too.
How big was the fish?
44.
I did too.
That's good fish.
It's funny you say that, Joby, because at one time I had one over my shoulder. I'm like, no. And I grabbed it by the jaw.
Well, he was 8 pounds.
Those are.
That's really
Move your beard. I can't see the fish.
My beard's not that long.
Caesar's is the fish.
But seriously, I did. I had a 40-pounder.
Hold on.
Over.
My favorite over the shoulder shots are with like the 12 inchers. Where people are just like turn their shoulder in. And
oh, next one's getting sent to you because that's all I count this year was a 5-pounder.
So you caught a 40-pounder and you held it over your shoulder.
I did, and I was like, nope, I'm not posting this picture. I'm not.
You're not being part of the problem. You're being part of the solution.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which I see it more out of the blue cat guys, but it's you don't display anything but maybe a portion of the head and the mouth.
Well,
blue cat are so sloppy.
Well, similar vein to what you're saying.
Sloppy. I would not put one over my shoulder because you wouldn't be able to move your neck.
Well,
there'd be
sounds
so
like
much
your ex.
We're not talking about the same thing. With blue cats, they're hard to hold unless you're holding them against your body.
Yes,
that's
like
how
you lip grip them.
There's no juice.
Just cradle.
I mean, you lip grip them and you hold their belly, and they're still like rotating, and then they're assholes on top of that. Like a flathead, you land it, and they're usually pretty chill. Blue cat, you land it, and it like slaps you in the freaking face.
What's up, douchebag?
Yeah. And then you look like we're in a bukkake film by the time you're done with it.
The one that I caught that was 50, just over 50. Like the first time we tried, I was sitting across my lap. I'm trying to hold it. And I was like, guys, I can't have a picture of this. I look like a puss with this thing sitting in my lap. Sure. I got to stand up. So then I stood up, tried to hold it.
Like, I just need to sit down.
There's no way to hold the thing. I mean, the thing is just so massive, and you just got your hand underneath of it. I just kind of cradled it like a dog, you know?
Spencer's
That's the only way to do it.
Spencer's hot take on how to hold a blue cat. You can put a glove on or not put a glove on. Grips are great for landing the fish, removing the fish from the net, whatever. For the actual photo itself, put your hand in its freaking jaw. Grab its bottom jaw, because then you can control it a little bit.
But they bite horrible.
But if you got a glove... Well, so then the other hot tip for how to control a blue cat by grabbing... Oh, I've seen that picture.
Yes, that's how I held it. But
so if you grab the bottom jaw, if you just hold it loosely, they'll bite the shit out of you. But if you hold their bottom jaw firmly, like real firmly, and then you support their belly, they don't... I feel like they register that, like you're in control.
You are the alpha.
Yeah. It's funny, but I think it's
I got
true.
a question. Yep. So we're in October right now, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Is the flathead season done?
No. Not
No?
even close. You got 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
At least.
At least.
I'm looking at the forecast. You got every bit of 2 weeks. 2 to 4, somewhere in that range.
All right.
Yeah.
It is for me. I'm in transition mode to bow hunting, so fishing's out.
But I think
Wednesday I'm catching a 40 plus.
I'm right there with
so.
you, Job.
Hope so.
And today's
right there with
Tuesday.
But at the same time, I feel
Me
like
too.
these two goons owe me a guide trip.
Yeah.
We do.
It's in the books.
I would
for next year.
I'd wait for June.
I'm
You
waiting
can
for
waste
June
it
too.
right now, but I'd wait for June.
I'm waiting for June.
Right. I don't want to take up your guys' guiding to get me a free trip. I want to be able to go, like, preferably, if I want to go with you two, I want to go in a kayak.
We're not
100%.
going to take any of you on a guide trip. We're going to go fishing.
We're gonna go.
There's a big difference.
Well, that's what Ryan and I just did 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went with the Hoyle brothers, or Hoyle, JJ, and Jimmy. And
Yeah.
JJ's been on this
They're
podcast.
practical.
Yeah,
brothers.
I still owe
You know.
Ryan some bullheads.
Yeah, we got a 32,
34?
something.
30 something. And that was awesome because Jimmy had never caught a big flathead before. You know, that was a goal of his, and so we let him reel in the first fish, and he blew out his shoulder trying to hold it, but that's all right.
We can see that.
He did. He dislocated his shoulder.
That's a good family, though. I like them boys right there.
Yeah.
Oh, they're good.
They're
They're
good
good
shit.
boys. But no, that's a true story. JJ went to go pick it up, or Jimmy did, and went to go pick that fish up, and he went, oh, and he just dropped it, dislocated his shoulder. So the pictures with Ryan,
I had to
and
hold the
he had to
fish
hold
in
the
the
fish
picture.
for him to take his picture.
At least it didn't happen when he was fighting the fish.
No, he fought it well.
He fought it well,
Yeah.
just fine, absolutely. But blew it out trying to get the picture.
But I
That stuff happens.
Yeah,
I
experience.
loaded the
all
rod
about
up.
the
I
big
set the
picture.
hook. I'm like, Jimmy, hurry up! I'm like, this is a good one. Get your ass over here.
Yeah.
And you didn't miss him. I'm proud of you.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
we got him.
Yeah.
This is a good
Stars
time.
align once in a while.
So how is all that
We had
guiding?
we had 8 bites. We landed 1 fish.
Oh my god!
I'm
Well,
kidding.
you look at me like I don't believe you.
That's the only bite we got.
No, that was the only one.
How is that guiding going for both of you guys for
I love it.
like next year? Like how's the booking going?
I haven't got a single trip booked for next year yet. Not one.
You can count me in.
No, I want people to pay.
As long as you hold your breath.
I'm
No,
not.
I haven't even-
I'm not paying you
I haven't
either,
set
asshole.
anything up. I haven't set anything up yet.
It'll come. That's a long ways off yet.
I'll go scout with you.
I want to
though.
set some ice fishing trips up first, but we gotta have ice.
Like you got to cross that bridge
Yeah.
before you get to the other.
But you've
one.
got some coming up in October. for
Yeah,
Blue
I got.
Cats.
I'm going down south,
Yeah.
chasing big blues.
Yep.
So
I'm still holding Spencer. If I get to go ice fishing, I get to take that Garmin with me. So we'll see if that really comes true.
as long
Tracking
as it's,
device on them or something.
as long as it's not in Florida.
I was gonna say you got till January 4th. Any ice fishing trips after that, it'll be gone.
There's years we don't have ice deep enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Around here, yeah, absolutely.
But we take trips up north, so
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure
South
I'll
Dakota.
snake it away.
Yeah. No, I'll be heading south January 4th. It'll be. I didn't take it last year, and after the first day of throwing the cast net for 8 hours and not catching anything hardly, I was like, man, I wish I had that live.
I mean, I
Are you
own
go-
that $2,800 machine.
Are you
that's
going back to
coming
catching?
handy right now.
Are you going back to catch some sharks or what?
No, I'll be down on the Apalachicola River, running trips down there.
Do you have any open dates still?
I got. Well, I still have 4. I've had a little interest, but nobody's put down a deposit yet. But I still
Okay.
I got 4 openings.
I got a deposit.
So you're pretty full. It's good.
Yeah, I'm pretty fortunate.
I got a deposit.
You do?
Yeah.
Coming down to the old Forgotten Coast. I'll tell you what, man. Like to paint the picture.
I mean, if you beat me in wrestling,
he's going to beat you in
When
wrestling.
when he beats you. in
If I
wrestling.
beat
we
you,
don't know that.
I think he might gamble about $150. I think he's got
But at the
covered
same
right
time,
now.
if
250.
he
I gave him
keeps
100 earlier.
if
He's
he
got
keeps
250s in there.
if
That's
he
the
keeps
most
up on the
profitable
Busch Lights, we're
podcast
not
he's
gonna have a
ever
problem.
It's a good one. It's a good one. No, what were you saying?
I was saying, if you keep up on the Busch Lights, you're not beating me.
I could drink every Busch Light in this county and beat you at wrestling.
Well, you're not wrong.
See, that excites me when you said that you want your Garmin just to locate fish. I've watched so many videos on this fish finder to see if it's justifiable, and just you saying that it helps even finding bait fish
Ice fishing.
sold me.
Honestly,
Ice fishing alone
that's the
is
big,
worth the purchase.
That's the biggest thing.
Right, I've watched videos with guys ice fishing. They'd sit there and they'd turn it
Why the
until
hell
they
would
locate.
you drill a hole here when they're 127 feet that way?
So to to add multiple layers to that, like ice fishing is excellent, lake fishing excellent, river fishing I'm not sure yet. Like I still got to spend some time, get it dialed in.
Sure.
But the bait catching, to be able to swivel it and see that school of shad 18 feet underwater,
Nothing,
22 feet.
10,000 of them right there.
And
you
when
know where to go.
In the winter time, that's how it is.
All in that one hole.
Yeah, like in the winter. You know, in the summer they're more dispersed.
Sure.
It's not as big of a deal. But in the winter, they're in tight schools in one location. And man, I had days where even after I figured out where they hung out, I would still spend 2 to 3 hours throwing a freaking 8 to 10 foot cast net that has
money well spent. I mean,
and the whole time I'm like, I have a live scope at home. This is stupid.
This is dumb.
But it's 18 hours away and I can do nothing about it. So that will not happen again.
Right.
All I'm
Yes.
getting at.
Yeah.
Like,
like species targeting, can you literally, by the shape of the fish on that thing, can you figure out what?
oh, it's not even hard. Like, like I was ice fishing for channel cats.
$2,800.
That's what she says.
Hey.
Not even hard. Because this guy right now, he can catch fish. We've seen it from ocean fishing to river fishing to lake fishing. It ain't even hard.
He's buttering him up for this wrestling match. Is what he's doing.
But
Please don't be hard.
All right. Here's a story for you that kind of explain or provides an example of what you're asking. I was ice fishing for channel cats, first ice, and had live scope down, and I'm in this gravel pit that I fished many times. All I've ever caught out of it was dinky crappies.
Giant crappies.
No, this one was weird. Like most gravel pits, you don't have giants. This one had dinks, like 3 to 6 inches. No exaggeration, 3-inch crappies. Caught a few of them, but it had those and channel cats. I got the live scope down. I caught a few of them dinky crappies, chop them up, use them for bait, drop them down. And I'm looking at this live scope because it's badass. You know, you see all this shit move through. You see cats.
Fish aren't biting, but I got a video game.
Exactly.
Go on there.
Exactly. And I have 2 cat rods out. I got jigging rod out. I'm jigging, trying to draw something in, and I drew a little crappie in, and then out of freaking nowhere, this northern pike blasts through the screen, cuts across, then comes back through again. So I had 2 real good looks at him when he came through, but he was chasing a school of something. I don't know if it was crappies or shad. But
Just wasn't your lure.
But
You're pretty sure about that.
He didn't give a shit. But to see him zip in and zip out, I didn't know there was northern pike in there, but I could tell clear as day that was a northern pike on the live scope. And that was badass. So
That is cool.
To go into these little harbors and stuff, see shad, throw cast nets on them, in my mind it plays out great. Now whether that matches reality, we'll see.
Sure.
But it also saves you a lot of time, though, too.
If it matches reality,
Right?
You know, like if it goes the way I think it will, it's going to cut my bait time by 80%.
Sure.
I've
And
never seen a live scope.
And I don't know if anybody's ever thrown an 8 to 10 foot cast net.
It's heavy.
But 80% is a good number.
Yes.
Right.
I've thrown an 8-foot cast and I'm not very good at it.
Well, it still weighs the same. That's the thing. It still does the same shit to your shoulder. Like I've never had an issue with my shoulder since I played high school baseball. And then after this last winter, I now have a popping noise. Anytime I'm doing this and I'm hearing popping. It was never there before.
That's old age, buddy.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's going to work in my favor.
Well,
Just found a weak spot, right?
the right arm is the one. The right shoulder is the one to go after. Like the left.
Oh, he's baiting you in harder and shit.
Right arm takedown right now.
Like don't play with that left one.
Yeah.
Sorry, Spencer.
What you want to do is underhook me real hard on the right side. You just want to get in close. I can't handle big guys that get in close.
Like you've never heard of like a fireman's carry. I don't know what that is.
yeah, we don't even speak about
I
that.
have no
that junk
idea.
move that won't work.
Let me show you.
Dawson brought up a good point. He said bait instantly when you caught that 3-inch crappie. What do you guys feel for crappie for a flathead bait?
What do you feel when you eat a crappie?
Bullhead.
Mush.
No. When you eat a crappie, what do you think?
There's better fish out there.
Oh, no, you don't. There's a fish that might be
Walleye and perch, hands down, will beat a
all right.
crappie.
If I hand you a plate of crappie, and are you going to turn it down?
No.
Neither's
Obviously.
Neither's a flathead.
Neither's a
Okay.
flathead.
Yeah. Because one, it sparkles underwater. And two, they're like, oh, I've had one of those. They are delicious.
All right.
Crappie are lazy.
They're lazy, and I don't think they last as long as a bullhead.
Time out.
Or
Let's bring reality
got
to this
called
situation.
timeout on my conversation.
This is important. This is important.
Okay, coach.
We were sitting there.
You haven't got grounded yet.
We're sitting there looking up at your bait, ready for it.
If we're going to bring reality into the situation, fish don't taste the same to fish as they do to us, just like the way we smell isn't the same as fish. Like, things are processed underwater entirely different
I've
than they are
tried
above.
to smell
ask how
underwater.
you
It didn't
know.
work out.
Exactly.
Can I ask how you know this?
How?
How? How do you know that?
Like, if you
Common
break...
sense.
Well, so you have...
Ish.
You have literature...
This motherfucker.
You have literature you read, and then you corroborate that with other different like branches of science. So the concept that smell travels differently underwater in conjunction, like you learn that from a biology text, and then you, like I said, corroborate that with a physics textbook where you break down how molecules function in fluids, and fluids, air is a fluid, water is a fluid.
Sorry, Spencer. I'm retarded.
Densities.
Well, you asked the question, I'm answering.
Densities.
He's going into
Yeah.
great detail.
Way
there.
too far into it.
So density plays a big part.
Yeah.
And then just molecules fluctuate differently.
I throw
The flow
baits
of the
out.
molecules
Yeah.
through a substance.
So
Yes.
animals have evolved in that substrate versus like the fluids that we're used to, and then their senses have evolved to accommodate those different things. So
I'm
So-
liking it because I want to learn
So
this.
when you reel a fish in, that's why he doesn't head straight to the bait tank, because he doesn't know it's there.
Right.
He can't breathe in that substrate. But you put that bait underwater, and he's like, creek chub.
yes. And then sound follows a similar thing. Like, sound travels so much better through water, and
Yes.
then fish have ears that function way different than ours, and they function
And
better.
lateral lines.
And they have lateral lines,
Yeah.
and sound travels better. So blah 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 blah. It's different. But what the hell were we talking about?
Dawson's
So-
Busch
retarded.
Light.
Crappies,
No, the difference
crappies
between
for bait.
crappie,
Yeah, how do I know?
bullhead,
Yeah.
and chub,
Okay,
whatever.
so just saying that
Sorry.
they're delicious for us doesn't necessarily mean that they're delicious for the fish. But
Science has proven they will hit them.
But science, as in us fishing a bunch, has proven crappies are a wonderful bait, but you have to understand their limitations. Crappies are fish that function effectively in reduced or zero current areas. So if you hook them in the tail in a high current area, they're not going to last that long. They're not built for it. Whereas like a green sunfish is just like too hard-headed.
oh, you think this is tough current?
yeah.
I'll show you tough
Yeah,
current.
right.
I'm sorry, you're talking to a redneck. You just blew my mind.
You ask a question, I answer.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. That was amazing.
So
Now I know.
Jeremy's the green sunfish. Spencer's the crappie. All right, we understand now.
Exactly.
All right, gotcha.
So you got to treat that crappie with consideration for what it's built for. You cast them in reduced current areas, and they do amazing. Like if you have a slack or a reduced current area, and you have to ask me what bait, like if I could have any bait in the world, what bait am I going to use? Give me a 10-inch crappie.
Bullhead.
Yeah, bullhead. That's what I was gonna say.
Bullheads are tough to beat.
Because I've seen a bullhead on a bobber in reduced current get shellacked by
I've seen
several
it.
of the monsters.
But I'll tell you the
So by
difference.
that rationale, talking about bait and water currents and stuff, do you think time of year and does that correlate with what bait you're going to choose to throw in that area?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So time of year.
1,000%. Size
On
of bait,
top of-
size of bait, type of bait.
type of
If
bait.
you just
But
watch
then do you
Spencer's
take water
videos,
conditions in the same equation when you choose what you're going to throw in that spot. So you set up on the spot and you've got, you know, a little current over here, maybe not so much here. Do you go, I want my green sunfish here, I want my bullhead here?
Some baits it doesn't matter.
Or am I overthinking it?
Some baits it doesn't matter. So a bait that it matters is a crappie.
He's figuring them out.
But a creek chub, they're going to do well in current. They're going to do well in reduced current. A bullhead, you talk about them getting shellacked.
Depending on where you hook it.
Yeah, like if it's fast current, I'm going to hook them through the lips. If it's reduced current, I'm going to hook them through the tail.
Sure.
But I feel at the same point, there's a difference between creek chubs, like, or a creek bullhead. Like, because I can go catch you a bunch of bullheads right now.
Yeah.
They're not as lively as a creek bullhead.
No, and then you could also make the further argument that a fish caught out of the body of water you're fishing is more lively and more resilient than one caught out of a pond. I agree with that 100%.
Because I can go catch you through 30 bullheads right now.
But at the end of the day, it's like
they're not catching me fish.
You ain't catching 30 bullheads right now.
You want to bet?
But bet, Spencer.
You want to bet?
I'm a betting man. I've proven that.
I'll bet you.
But
right now, I will catch them. I will catch 30
That's like our
bullheads.
last podcast when I talk about beating up a lion from the zoo. It's not the same as beating up a live lion.
And I give you shit, but that's
can't.
real.
Yes.
Yeah.
But at the same thing, but I can't.
But so the point that I was going to try, the point that I was trying to get at was sometimes you just got to use what you got. You know,
Sure.
You know,
Many a night.
The idea of
Yeah.
going to the river and catching bait out of the river because it's the best bait, and it is, sounds wonderful.
Until you don't catch it.
But how many nights do you not catch bait, or how many nights do you go there and you're like, I'm showing up 10 minutes before the sun goes down.
Yeah.
And I need to have baits out a half hour ago, but I have nothing.
Yeah.
So you just use what you got.
And if you're fishing in a prime flathead location, those baits aren't going to be there at happy hour. They're out. They gone.
Yeah.
My last outing, we took the boat upriver, and there's shad jumping.
So water's
Shad
low.
jump.
Low water,
Yeah.
shad numbers have exploded.
They haven't exploded. They're just
Big
more
time.
obvious.
Maybe. I don't know.
Shad
I don't have
jumped,
the knowledge.
Hit my brother in the face.
But-
Like, he's driving the boat, smacked him in the face.
A shad did?
Yeah.
That's kind of awesome.
And this is up north of where we're at.
Oh, yeah.
right now. And why can't we have that bait? I'm in the back trying to scoop them up. Scoop them up. They're way too fast for me.
Cast network's better.
Obviously. Yeah, right. But what do you do?
What do you do? I cast net them.
Well, I had a bunch of bullheads.
But you can still cast net them. I think variety is a good thing. You know, like
Yeah, throw the buffet. They'll tell you what they want.
Right.
well,
But
at the end of the day, you have all these things that tend to play out. Like this time of year, these water conditions, this bait tends to be a preferred bait. But throw out something different because you never know.
I've never had that luck though. Like
But your flathead experience is
right,
little.
but it's all
Yes.
come off bullhead. Like I've never green sunfish, crappie,
but
sunny,
90% of
it.
the baits you've thrown in have been bullheads.
And on a rod I bought from Spencer. I mean, I'll
Yeah.
bring that up again.
But
So
you know
the,
what I mean?
the mojo was already there,
your
but
science isn't conclusive.
little, right?
because-
But I've always had that option with those different baits,
Yeah.
and I've thrown them out. And the bullhead, hands down for me.
But
Well-
when you go out one night and the only thing that gets hit is cut bait and you catch 4 fish and it's the middle of August, you're like, this shouldn't frickin' happen.
I never caught anything on cut bait.
But it happens.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for your guys' videos,
It's
I
not
wouldn't
my-
even.
I didn't do
would
shit.
never throw cut bait ever. I would never throw cut bait
No,
ever,
me
but I
neither.
do.
I'm telling you.
I do.
Should.
Now,
And
I
you
know.
should. You should.
Out of
Buffet.
three
Buffet is
lines,
the key.
Out of 3 lines, I throw cut bait and whatever else.
Because how many nights have we gone out and one rod and one bait gets hit multiple times, nothing else gets touched?
A lot
with what bait?
It depends on the night.
Yeah.
You could have.
I feel like if that doesn't exaggerate it, that we both said that at the same exact time.
Hey, if I throw cut bait,
options are a good thing.
If I throw,
Options are a good thing.
If
Have
I throw,
options.
if I throw cut bait, it's a turtle or a freaking gar. All right, hands down.
All right, I'm gonna time out you again.
God damn it, I'm leaving.
And when he's done, I'm going to time out him. So, go ahead.
Well, here we are.
You have to factor in when you're fishing. So majority of your flathead fishing occurs probably from sometime in June to sometime in August, and then you're walleye fishing or bow hunting or whatever.
Right.
And granted, you're still missing out on fish by not throwing cut bait, where cut bait really seems to play the most. You can catch them on cut bait year round. Well, not in Iowa.
I was going to say,
but,
snagging.
But you're not wrong, Spencer.
You can catch flatheads on cut bait as long as you can catch flatheads.
Yes.
But post spawn, so after they've spawned, sometime in July, sometimes in June, but sometime after that. So generally speaking, the end of July through the end of the season, like sometime
October-ish.
September,
All I
October-ish.
heard was full moon talk.
No, I never said those words.
Not yet.
Cut bait plays and sometimes is the best option.
Yes.
Oftentimes for the biggest fish. Like the biggest fish I've caught in the last 3 years has been on a chunk of cut bait the size of my thumb.
Like specific cut bait or
No.
anything?
No.
Well,
And
see,
let's face it, listeners,
Well-
he's got a small thumb.
I have a lot of small things that we're not going to get into, but my thumb is not one of them. I have oddly fat, large thumbs, but I have small pinkies.
So you're saying it don't matter. It's cut bait, anything in general.
Well, say whatever you had to say.
Shad, creek chub, oily fish are best.
Nailed it.
But there's a lot of fish caught on bluegill heads.
Yep. For some, if you want to get into the nitty gritty, go down to the details. Any cut bait, any fish can be cut bait. Any fish that you make into cut bait, you want to have a head chunk. I don't know why the head chunk makes a difference.
Right.
Flatheads like head chunks. But if I had to pick what I'm going to use for cut bait, I'm using shad, creek chub, suckers, stuff like that. Bluegills get them. Crappies are real good.
Not bad.
Here we go with that crappie shit again.
Well, all right. You know what the best thing about using crappie heads for bait is?
They're easy to catch.
Well, depending on the situation, they can be real easy or
Or you already flayed the crappie and then
you nailed it.
Yep.
Like you
Now-
can fillet them out, get all
but
the
you're still
goods.
getting the head
Keep
out
the good
of them.
stuff for
Exactly.
yourself,
Does it
and
got to
then
be
you got the
fresh?
head.
Or can you freeze it?
Fresh is best.
fresh is always best.
Always.
Now,
All right.
if I had one bait from April 1st to October 31st, and I'm only going to throw this one bait out, for me, it'd be a 10-inch creek chub at all times.
Can't say that's a bad idea.
Because how many times have we thrown out a buffet and we're like, oh, look at the size of this creek chub. And we throw it out, and those monster creek chubs get freaking hammered.
Have you ever heard of a floppy?
A floppy?
A floppy.
Are you talking about flapper rig?
That was
A flapper rig.
Yeah.
Like a floppy where they...
Sounds like I have.
Floppy was a puppet dog. When we were growing up.
show in the morning.
Yeah, it was a puppet dog. Yeah, Floppy. Yeah.
I was talking about bluegills.
Ruh-roh, Rarmy.
Jesus. Man, Joseph.
Got some Ruby Rex.
This podcast is everything I hoped it'd be.
Oh, my God. Same.
All right, to go to your flapper rig, it's cut bait. You cut the spine out and the fillets flap around, whatever.
Yep.
Maybe it works, maybe it
Looks
doesn't.
like my college
I've done it one
girlfriend.
time. It's never worked for me.
Well,
One time.
It's a blue cat rig.
no,
Truthfully,
I mean,
that's how it started.
it started as a flathead rig.
Yeah, it started
There was a
as-
YouTube video that popularized the concept, and
that's
the
where I
thing
got
with
it.
fishing though is people gravitate towards the concept that correlation
Go ahead.
correlation leads to causation. people tend to gravitate towards that. Like, it makes sense. This happened. It must be because of that.
Right.
What I think the reason for that is I haven't had success. This is something new I've never tried. Maybe this will be the missing link in giving me that success.
Why wouldn't you try it?
But it's logical, so people gravitate towards that, like, without understanding.
So's the lure with the red flashing light.
My point exactly.
No way, dude. Red flags. Red flag.
Yeah, red flag for sure. Now, that's like with me with cut bait.
But
like,
it's
I
been
never want to try it.
in all these tournaments.
Red flag.
But it's been, so you've ran into this, what, with cut bait?
Like, I've never been excited to use it. I would rather have a live bait on over cut bait, just because my experience, I either get a turtle or a gar.
But
hands down.
What time of year did you throw the cut bait?
It's
what
all-
location did you throw the cut bait? Was it in the current seam? Was it in the slack? Was it
in the prime?
Are you
It's like I told you in the last podcast. Like, my buddies I'll let them get first pick. They'll either center the hole or back, and I'm usually on the drop off, or somewhere in the current seam, generally. But I've never. Every time I've threw cut bait, it's junk.
So
keep trying.
You have a third pull permit. You're
Right.
throwing 3 rods.
Right.
To add to what you're saying, as a guy who has seen cut bait perform.
We're not saying it's magic.
No, I've watched the videos.
We're not
and
saying
I'm like,
it's magic.
it works for these cocksuckers. Why can't it work for me?
Absolutely.
And I understand where you're coming from.
There goes another 5 minutes.
Well, and then he just threw mic drop.
Well, honestly, I watch every video. Like, I pick up detail that most people don't just by watching your guys' videos.
You're approaching it from a different mindset. What I'm getting at is
they're
to add
at least 2-3 weeks out.
I don't even know what you just said, but I gotta edit it out. No clue.
From
that
what
was
Joby
not
says,
a rational thought, and now I gotta spend my time
it's
editing that
irrational.
Jeremy, you just got timed out. Time out.
Time out.
But
At least I ain't the only one.
Over here. But
Bring the microphone over to
we
Joby.
have a conversation going on over here.
All right, this is going to be a really choppy video and choppy podcast, and I apologize.
That's all right.
But
It's gonna look.
This is 5, dude. Yeah, right there.
all right, are we ready for me to
Joey's
read?
not
Part of the
wrong.
experience.
Are we ready for me
And deep breath. Go.
Hold your breath. 90 seconds.
to add value to what you were talking about?
He's not wrong.
I'm not saying he is. To add value. Value is actually proving he's wrong, Jeremy.
Let me hear it. Put.
I'm a guy who has seen cut bait perform better than live bait many, many, many times. And I'm very pro cut bait for flatheads. I think it is a great option. I am also a guy who throws 2 live baits and 1 cut bait. And I think that speaks volumes to how I feel cut bait is prioritized. And
Yes.
I mean, I feel much more confident with the live ones.
I agree, and I've thrown out them options every time I've been out. But my luck is like I'll just reel it in. I'm like, I ain't catching no gar. I'm not putting another cut bait on. I'm gonna put another live bait on.
And the gar still eat your live bait.
Or a turtle will find it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there's a lot of times you use cut bait. You reel it in, you cast a fresh piece out, and within 10, 15 minutes, it gets it.
There's something about our neck of the woods in the month of September that just cut bait gets them. And
Fresh.
I wouldn't even know.
A lot. Like I said, it's happened. I've probably only caught, let's say, 10 to 15 flathead on cut bait. I would say at least 10 of those 15 were on cut bait that's been in the water less than 15 minutes.
And I've caught 10 to 15 flatheads on cut bait this year.
Yes.
Like real talk. And well, you know what?
Yo, wait, time out.
No,
I just got timed out.
Oh shit! And Joby's like,
I've been waiting to do this the whole night.
Joby says, I don't have a point. I just wanted you on timeout.
Like specific, it could be any head off a fish.
I mean, fish love head.
I love
Who doesn't? Who doesn't love head?
90% of the time I use cut bait, it's shad or creek chubs because they're oily as hell. They put out a
That makes the
trail.
most sense.
I've caught flatheads.
And I use JB's secret sauce
that.
a lot of times.
It's so dumb.
There's the secret.
You know, we call it the secret sauce just as kind of a joke, but it's kind of a secret because we don't talk about it. The reality is, it does seem to make a difference.
It puts out a
I had my
freaking
secret
oil
sauce
slick on the water.
one time.
You put it on your bait and you dip your bait in the water and it looks like motor oil.
Yeah.
It's fish oil that comes off your bait.
So what?
I need to start making money off of this. So, like,
Yes.
I don't have to...
So what's the oil from that?
It's a
I
secret.
can't tell you that part.
You just said it was a secret.
Secret
All right.
sauce. Like literally.
Situation right now.
All right, you're done talking. You're done talking. You have to go to the other living room. That's why we have 2 living rooms in this house. You gotta go. Now,
I'm okay with
No.
that because the smell off his socks got my nostrils burning anyway.
now, Joe,
It's like the catfish, dude.
Joby. Our buddy Corey Weaver is part owner of JB's Fish Sauce.
Yes.
And he and Spencer went fishing a couple times. They came up with this formula where they've fine-tuned it for what, 3 years?
It's been going on 2.
2, almost
Yeah.
3.
Came straight off Jeremy's socks.
And but they've changed the formula a few times, and it at times is lights out. At times it doesn't seem to matter. But
So-
the times it does matter, it's obvious.
The reality of how it plays out. Like you touched on the basic concept. Sometimes it really seems to make a difference. Sometimes it doesn't. What it's composed of is a secret.
Which you finally let that secret out because you specifically said just a head bait of any fish. You said a couple specifics,
Now-
but now all of a sudden
No.
it's this
Hold
fish
on.
sauce.
Hold on.
No, you didn't get the.
I took my girlfriend fishing at a place that we've all fished.
What was his name?
It's got a pipeline close to it.
Gotcha.
So I got her in a channel cat spot. She's catching channel cat. I catch like a 20-pound flathead. I put a fresh chub head, cast it in. She catches a 34-pound flathead.
It happens.
Shouldn't have happened. It was in 1.5 feet of water with channel cat galore in it because she got like 5 earlier that day.
So no dip in the special
No,
sauce, just head.
that's before the
Okay.
special sauce was evolved.
Sure.
That's what it wanted.
So now the secrets are finally coming out.
No, but I'll give you a little tidbit of the secrets.
Quit being a douche.
Hey, hey, Dawson. I guess we're tag teaming these boys out later.
Okay.
You know what?
Now
Fuck these guys.
now we got 2 insurance claims.
I skipped.
You mess me up.
I'm hitting.
I'll just be the referee.
I'm hitting
Give
the
me a
line
whistle
on
and
the
a
way
striped
out.
shirt.
The fish sauce is all natural. Like
Yeah.
it is there's no cheese, there's no like congealed blood, there's no garlic, there's none of that bullshit in it. It's stuff that is or resembles things that big fish are used to eating, and it's just amplified.
You mean like bullhead?
Concentrated.
Well, you want me to take a drink of beer? I'll take a drink of beer. Cheers. But not like bullheads. Bullheads are oily, but this is from a different bait fish. But the concept is that fish, like people, get used to doing these certain things, eating these certain things, and like fish are not people. But that concept does play out with fish. Like the biggest of the species, and granted, you can fish dip bait and catch a a good channel cat or a good blue cat. It's not impossible, but when it comes to things that are extremely predatory, like flatheads, they're a different critter, So they're used to eating fish, either chunks of or live ones, and to have a scent that maximizes awareness of that live or dead bait, it's going to maximize the amount of fish that come to investigate it, because those are natural scents that they're used to smelling and are, they're going to be drawn to it.
So you don't have that problem like I do with the gar.
No, we do.
Or the turtles.
And you just deal with it. Like you get this turtle bite, you get this gar bite, you reel it in, you rebait it, and cast it out. Like it happens.
Yes.
And
The turtles are
I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued.
You can't change what a turtle wants to eat.
Absolutely.
You're not going to change that.
Yeah.
If they see your bait live or dead, they're gonna
It's not going to
kill
matter.
it.
Yeah.
If the turtles are there, they're going to be attracted to the same
And the
bait.
best part is
part of it.
If you've got, let's say me and him are fishing together, we got 6 rods, we got 4 that are live bait, 2 that are cut. If that turtle is hitting my cut bait, awesome. I got 4 live baits. He's not messing with
So
me.
he's distracted with
You know what I
one,
mean?
then the other.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true, too.
I'll let him chew on it for a half hour, which the last time me and you fished, I got that decent flathead and something was
you
chewing.
say decent. It was a good one.
It was 30 plus.
That's a good one.
But there was something chewing on that cut bait for 30 minutes nonstop. Like the whole time that pole was going. And all of a sudden Spencer goes, oh.
Because I saw it just
It goes
slowly goes down,
Yes.
and then the clicker starts rolling.
So whatever was chewing on it, that flathead's like, get the hell
So
out of my
he
way.
was getting chunks out in the water.
you know what the best
or
part about
disturbance or
the
who knows?
you know what
Sure.
the best part
Makes
about
sense.
the cut bait is a turtle can chew on it for an hour.
And there's still something on the hook.
Well,
Right.
Well, no. Well, but
Most of the time.
it's already dead.
Yes.
Right.
And then I've had instances where the one that sticks out the most was last summer. We pull up to the sandbar. It's a great spot to camp. Looks like a good fishing spot. I cast a live bluegill out, and it gets turtled immediately.
Like, I'm so glad you came.
Right.
Been waiting.
Yeah, I've been waiting for food.
So it gets
Spencer's here.
it gets turtled immediately, but Corey is busy cooking taters, onions, steak on the campfire. I'm like,
already.
I'm just gonna let it sit. I don't give a shit. Whatever. Like it's getting so I just let it do its thing. And then an hour after we get done eating dinner, it just starts rolling. And then I set the hook, and it ends up being like a 20-25 pound flathead.
Yeah.
This bait has been dead for an hour and a half, 2 hours, because he's getting pecked on by turtles, but the flathead scooped him up.
Yeah.
But he's probably pecking at it, and little pieces are kind of floating downstream.
I mean,
Open up the gut.
you
pocket.
could-
Yeah, kind of attracting the fish is going to be downstream and
Maybe.
hunt it. Maybe
Like,
That's
we don't
my
know.
theory. Yeah, you don't know.
It's
Could
all
happen.
extrapolated. Like
Sure.
we can make these assumptions or come up with these ideas, but at the end of the day, we don't know.
No, exactly.
That's one thing with fishermen that bothers me, and it shouldn't, is all these dudes see these things that happen and they make up these ideas of
It's
why.
a scientific fact.
Yeah, and then they will argue to the death about
Because you can't see what's going on when you think
That's
about
it.
it.
You
When you
got
think about
no
it,
idea.
you're sitting on the bank, and those fish are not that far from you. They're 15, 20, 30 feet away from
Right.
you in just a little bit of water. Mm-hmm. But that water is giving all the protection in the world. You have no idea what's going on out there. And
There could be a
and
40,
it's right there.
40-pound fish in 1.5 foot of water. Unless he reveals himself, you have no idea.
No idea. And what's going on? What kind of interactions are happening out there with all the different species of
you know what
of
what's
everything. You
a
have no
fun
idea.
thing to think about.
The one thing we don't have.
Them
when
playing
we're
like
catfishing,
shuffleboard underwater.
Hold on, Jeremy's
The
mumbling.
one thing we don't have.
Wait, you got to get talk closer to the microphone.
The one thing we don't have when we're flathead fishing.
Yeah.
Is a live scope. We don't know where they're at.
Well, me either, but that leads to my next story, which is fun.
Thanks for the intro.
Yes. So I'd fished this spot twice, and this was the second time. The first time I put out a 3-pound live carp for bait.
Which is awesome when they get hit, but probabilities go
way down.
Well,
right. I watched that video.
So what didn't translate well to that video like I wanted it to was I hooked that bait through the nose with a single hook and dropped it in the water to keep it alive while I rigged up two big J's to run double hook rig on it. And my plan was to leave it in the water, let it kick around, and then I'll get my leader tied up, then pull it out and retie it on and then rehook it. Well, the kink in that plan was a 30 to 40 pounder decided to eat it within 2 minutes of me putting it down there.
Oh, really?
Because that was literally...
Like it wasn't happy hour yet. Like it was bright out, right?
It wasn't bright.
You dropped in the water like a diddy pole, and he
I
came
did.
in there and
I
hit
did.
it before you
Off
got a chance to put it in
off a sandbar. Like it wasn't a cut bank, traditional diddy pole spot. It was off a sandbar, and he came up and ate it. And it wasn't bright, but it was twilight.
But it was way earlier than I would think he would be that close.
Oh, I was
to the
thinking
sand.
that'd be like a 3 o'clock in the morning spot.
Yes.
But yeah, so we were 8 hours early.
Yeah.
Or more than
I
that.
like how he talks about this 3 o'clock in the morning spot. Like when I watch your videos, it depends on the time, but how do you
I fish a lot. That's what
verify a 10 o'clock spot to a 3 o'clock spot?
Well, one,
Where
I'm
they
wrong all
live.
the time. So there's that.
But where they live and where they hunt, it's just like deer hunting.
It is.
You got a watering hole, you got a feeding hole,
Yep.
you got a place they go to
bed
bed.
down,
Yeah.
bed down
Yeah.
spot. Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Well, I'm sorry.
But back to
back to deer hunting.
okay.
We are nowhere near bedding and where they're sitting,
Yeah.
right?
Jeremy, you're even more drunk than the last podcast.
Yes, I am. But at the same time, we know, like, we've got video footage of it.
Yeah. Trail cams.
Trail cam.
Yeah.
Yes.
Our poles
Can
are
you-
the trail cam.
Fly head.
We talked about this the last podcast,
right.
actually. But the point that I was getting at was all this stuff went down at this trip, and then I came back, and this was the time I came back. It was I had a bunch of BS that happened on the way down. I was Jeremy's retired.
He's tapping out already.
Taking his ball and going home.
We haven't even started wrestling yet.
No, you're sleeping in the couch is what you're doing.
Keep
You
going.
ain't going nowhere.
So this next trip, I had several portages. My kayak filled up with water, and I had to dry it all out.
Yeah, I seen that.
And then I get to the spot. The part you don't see in the videos, when I pull up, there's this giant boil of water. As I go from 8 feet to 2 feet, there's this steep ledge, and right where it crests on top, there's this giant boil of water. Right as the sun's going down, and I'm thinking, that's that same fish that ate that carp. I don't know. I have no way to confirm that. But if somebody had to bet, and I'm a betting man because I got $150 right here.
Well, you got 250 from what I'm understanding.
That's his honey hole.
Yeah,
That's where he eats every night.
But that was the
he goes to A&W every night.
But
That's his A&W.
That was the same.
Like I had to have my wallet.
That was the same time frame as that one that ate that
That guy?
carp.
Yeah.
Sure.
The previous night that I was there. Granted, they were a week and a half apart, but and I could be wrong. But if I had to bet, I'd bet it was the same fish.
Now, if you go out and shoot a 180-inch deer, you're going to go hunt that same spot
Which
again,
I would have
right?
brought. I didn't want to.
No,
put
but you're going to
everybody
go
else to
hunt that
shame.
same spot again.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That all depends
Now,
on my trail
just-
cam pictures.
There,
though.
That just depends.
100%.
Now, keep in mind, that's what you need to survive. So you see this, let's say it's a yearling doe. You shoot at a yearling doe, and you need that meat to survive. Where are you going the next time you go hunt?
The same spot.
The same exact
Right.
spot.
so many animals are creatures of habit, right?
Yes.
So our trap line, same thing, right?
Yes.
Like those raccoons, for instance, man, they go from
They have
home to the watering hole to a food source, whether that be a cornfield or whatever.
Right.
And it's repeat pattern.
Nightly.
You know,
Yes,
nightly,
every
night.
single night.
Which I've been down
Which-
that trapping line before, and like these guys didn't cover it good enough. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It really is.
But
you put a lot of time
in.
in.
A lot.
Raccoon are a warm-blooded animal that have a higher metabolism. They eat more often. So they do a nightly pattern. Flatheads are a cold-blooded animal that have a slower metabolism. They don't eat every night.
Right. They eat when they need to eat.
So that pattern doesn't play out nightly, but when he's hungry, he knows where to go.
See, and that's where I compare flathead to a mature deer. Especially when he gets old enough to where he's big enough that I feel like I could shoot him.
Trophies are trophies.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You know, they think a lot alike.
Yeah. Like I've spent a lot of time with, like I run 9 trail cameras on 2 different people.
If people don't steal them.
Pieces of right.
I started the season with 9.
I've had tree stands and trail cameras stolen, which whatever.
People suck.
You're gonna deal with it. People suck, right?
We deal with it all the time.
And I've gotten to the point like flathead fishing, like my goal is to get over a 50. Just like with deer hunting, I see a lot of 140s, 150s, 160s. I want that over 160 range. So
so you leave the 140
waiting
for him,
hoping that gun
someday
season,
that's going to be
that shotgun season or muzzleloader season that somebody ain't going to take out. And I've learned over the years that you could do that because the older they get, the smarter they get. It's just like a flathead.
Now, is it really smart? You know, I mean, they can't do freaking algebra.
No, but they can avoid the pressure.
They are wild animals.
Right.
I have survived by doing this.
Right.
So they're going to keep doing that.
Right.
Because we've always talked about you can't give human traits to a wild animal.
No.
But they are living things that have to survive by their habits.
And I didn't want to bring my deer heads because Dawson, he'd get jealous. But I wanted to, and I know this is more of a fishing podcast, but I wanted to brag in front of him anyway.
Yeah, it's fishing and anything else.
He wouldn't have remembered it at this point.
Okay, getting back to this fish sauce. Like, is that something that's available to everybody?
It will be shortly.
Not yet.
Okay.
It will be shortly.
Because I'm intrigued by it. Just from your guys' standpoint.
Look up JB's fish sauce and look up the wax worm and the black magic. It's the best ice fishing add-on.
Yeah, you'd appreciate those.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, wax worm and black magic work amazing on crappie, perch.
It's funny because they got some. It's like a deer incentive that's called black magic. It's like deer cocaine is what they claim.
There's a
I don't want a deer on cocaine. There's no way I can get him.
Right.
I clocked him at 127 miles an hour.
There is a bag that you could buy that's called black magic, and it's just a sweetener powder stuff. So I mean, it's the same justified for fishing or for deer hunting.
Well, I hope they don't make something for possum. We'd be screwed. Or if anybody wants to try one, we'll put our endorsement on one for possum. I'll give you that.
I'll tell you, if I set a coyote set, I catch at least 3 possum before a coyote sees it.
So it's not available, is what you're saying.
So, well, what I was going to add to your story
they got to fine tune it and perfect it. Before they bring it to the market. So you think it's pretty close?
It's close to
not too many fine tunes going on.
Well, I was going to tell you, but you guys keep interrupting me.
Time out. Time out.
Give him a timeout. Give him a timeout.
You might have had some samples for you.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I did.
They've now expired.
Black magic. There's a dip bait that's called black magic. Also, in addition to the black magic scents, as far as the fish attractants go, hopefully it'll be this spring. We'll see. You know, like a lot of it boils down to
so there's still a few
supply chain stuff.
He doesn't have a large quantity built up.
Yeah. So we'll see. You know, in small businesses, things fluctuate. So I don't want to make promises I can't keep.
Right.
Yes.
But
when it comes out, get it.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Application wise, like how big of a bottle, how much, like if you were to give the directions on the bottle in this podcast, what would the directions say in how to use?
Rub it on like butter.
If I was going to break,
butter the side of your bait and you squirt a little down the throat.
Okay.
If I was going to break it down,
Squirt a little down the throat. That's really weird.
It always works. Always works. Follow that, Spencer.
Well,
it's not going to be
It's not going to be on the label. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
and then you got me.
If it's not going to be an injector type bottle. It'll be in a wide mouth bottle, so you'll have to dip your bait into it. But
Don't.
Gotcha.
But
And
what?
And
What's
how
the follow up?
how long will it last on your bait in the water? Is the current going to depend on it, or
Like you should only fish a chunk of cut bait for 15 to 30 minutes.
okay?
For the most part, like a bigger chunk's
then
going to have
either-
more scent, and then different times of year it's going to stay on your hook longer. So if the water's colder, it's going to stay, like the scent's going to stay on
fresher.
I feel like
pressure
if,
longer. The scent's going to distribute
if
slower.
I'm hungry, I mean.
So then
the
available
bigger
in
chunk.
like
What?
What are you saying,
like
Jeremy?
6 ounce, 8 ounce, 12 ounce bottles. Like how's it coming packaged? Or do you know yet?
We have
8 ounce, I think.
we have
ish.
sample sizes.
Ish.
We have sample
Yeah.
sizes.
I'd say I was sorry, but you guys invited me.
Well, I'm not knocking you. I just want to know what you're saying. I just want to understand.
I didn't even know you knew gibberish.
So you're hoping springtime,
Yeah,
roughly.
We'll see.
I don't care if you guys can get it or not. I've got it.
Hey, I think I'm good enough, buddies. I should be able to get some of this shit.
Yeah.
All right.
Some sample.
The reality of the situation of how this scent stuff plays out is it's not a game like
Game changer.
Oh, I was waiting for that because you called my podcast that shit, so I was to come out.
it's not. It's not a game changer. If you fish this bait, like let's say Ryan's fishing it and I'm fishing it, in a real life
Let's
scenario,
see how this goes.
real life scenario, he's gonna catch 5, I'm gonna catch 10. Like that's reality.
What?
I mean, mine are all over 40, but you can have your 5-pounders if you want.
And mine are over 50. The difference is if he's using the scent and I'm using the scent, I'm going to catch 10 over 50. And instead of his 5 over 40, he's going to catch 8 over 40.
I'll take it.
Right.
No.
I'll take it all day.
Now,
That was bullshit talk.
Yeah, I'm doing the math
The
going.
real reality is like you go fishing, you're going to catch 3 fish. You use this scent, you're going to catch 4. But if that fourth one's over 20 pounds, you feel like you won the lotto. You know?
Right.
And
That's
with this scent, they're not. It's a scent that is very natural, and a large fish is not going to be deterred or uninterrupted in how it eats the bait.
yes.
Yeah.
It's a lot like the ice fishing thing. It's not going to bring fish in that aren't there, but
it's going to entice them to bite.
It may make a fish that is
4 versus 3.
Right.
Sure.
is neutral. It may make him take the bait.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an
Hey,
edge.
hey, I'm saying ice
It's a
fishing
cheap
in
edge,
Iowa.
too.
If there's just a slight edge to something, I'm going to do it.
I don't even care. As long as I outfish my buddies by 1 fish, it's worth every dollar I
That's
spend.
the
Right,
edge you're
right.
looking for.
Every
That-
freaking
exactly.
dollar.
Yeah.
And anywhere you go with your buddies.
Yeah. Don't care.
Nailed it.
By the way,
Thanks, Jeremy.
you are not wrestling that kid. I forbid it.
Hey,
I forbid. Dude, I've wrestled you. He is not wrestling you.
All right, this is a wonderful time to switch
Yes.
to our last cast.
It's last cast or mumble.
I'm sorry,
Jeremy,
guys.
you're up.
I'm
Jeremy,
sorry, guys.
this is your
I'm
last
sorry, guys.
cast.
We're good, buddy.
I'm sorry, but I had a good time.
Good, we did too.
Well,
This last cast had a good time. All right, Joby, you're up.
this could be my last podcast.
The old podcast.
I would say this one went a lot better than the first one because I felt more nerves on the first podcast.
You did great
but
on
now
the first one.
I'm opened up a lot more.
Sure.
You know,
I wish
And then I went to the bar.
I wish I've learned a lot more on this one too, just from your fish finders and the certain things that you put out for bait. Like my cut bait, from my experiences, I'd never want to do it, but now with the sauce, the secret sauce,
and that's not even. I mean, you're putting way too much emphasis on it than what it is.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, sometimes, like that time I caught that 32, that was the middle bait. It swam by 4 live baits and ate that cut bait.
No sauce.
No sauce.
No sauce.
No, it did.
Oh,
That
it
one
did?
did.
That one did.
That one did. But that's just coincidence. No.
Was it Ryan sauce though?
Well, yeah. I was
It's
born.
not a secret anymore.
Very salty tasting. No, go ahead, Jim.
But I also appreciate you guys inviting me back on. We didn't get enough covered through the last podcast, but I really appreciate you guys, and I appreciate the videos and the fishing information that you guys give me behind the scenes to help try to improve my fishing for the flatheads specifically. And I really appreciate it from both of you, to be honest.
Yeah. Show your shirt to the camera. Oh, Andy Riley, seed sales. Andy and Jesse Riley from Ripley, Iowa.
He knows.
Oh, Rubear.
You know what's funny about that shirt is I had a Riley seed sale shirt on yesterday.
Did you?
I got a couple of them, and a hoodie, and
Andy, I'm pissed. I don't own one.
Yeah.
None.
You should be.
None.
You should be.
Pissed. Pissed.
you're not as special as me and Spencer are.
I agree with that statement.
The reality is, like, I taught Brent, his son, in school, and that's the only reason I have a single shirt. Why Joby has multiples and a sweatshirt, I think it's bullshit.
That Carhartt hoodie, they're pretty nice. But here's the other thing I want to bring up.
I'm gonna drive by his house on the way home.
Knowing that you guys were both teachers, like Ryan was a substitute teacher that taught me.
Yeah.
And then you guys
Don't blame me for that shit.
Yeah, that's why I'm stupid right now, to be honest with you. He didn't teach nothing right.
Yeah, 2 times I was a sub.
And right. Teachers, you guys wrestle, you guys love fishing. To be honest with me, I didn't realize how much characteristics you guys got put together in not knowing each other back in the day. But like the
we tolerate
storyline,
each other pretty well.
right?
Yeah.
And I like
We
seeing
both
both of you in
realize that we're
videos.
each full of shit, so we just roll with it.
There's a lot of value to that. like
Which is kind of weird to me, though, that
But-
you both were teachers.
let's break this down a little bit. Like, you can have common interests with people and not like them a bit.
No.
I've met many people who love fishing. I think they're douchebags. Like, right there.
Spade a spade.
We can laugh about it all day, but at the same time, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. You guys are both teachers.
Well,
Now-
Both want people to succeed.
If there's one characteristic Spencer and I
Right.
share more than anything else,
Teaching
it's
is what I'm saying.
determination.
No, well, so there's determination. I agree with that 100%. There's also not getting worked up on little things that don't matter. Like, you say something that bothers me a little bit, I say something that bothers you a little bit. Neither of us really give a shit in the grand scheme of things. We're buddies, and
Yeah.
we go fishing.
And even above buddies, we're on the same team.
Yeah.
I want the best for Spencer.
I don't want that, though.
Spencer wants the best for me.
I want to be able to see that video where you guys are like, all right, let's do takedowns for $1 between you both.
I've beat the shit out of my best friends for years.
Jay?
I mean,
I'm
truthfully,
sorry.
when I was
at
fighting,
this point in time, I'm
everybody
down for
I trained
takedowns for
with
$1.
was some of my best friends. I beat the shit out of my friends for years. Going takedowns with Spencer is not a punishment. That's fun.
Yeah, it's nothing personal. That's
It's,
the thing.
it's
like,
a good time.
Yeah. Like, you get...
You're going to hug it out afterwards.
People get well, not even...
The
we're not gonna-
bromance
we're
is
not gonna
coming
hug
alive
out
right
shit,
now.
Okay?
I might hump his leg, but we're not going to.
Spencer, Hey, take me down.
You need to put that on the podcast.
No, the reality of it is you nailed it. Like, just because you have a physical conflict where you're beating somebody up or somebody's getting beaten up doesn't mean you have to hold a grudge. Like,
No.
I did that for a decade and a half of my entire life where you beat somebody up or you get beat up, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Because you just do it to get better at what you're doing. Like, that's wrestling.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest, like all the YouTube videos I've watched, the combo with you guys together is phenomenal to watch.
Well, and you have relatability. So that plays a big part.
Right.
I don't want to make something into a bigger deal than what it is, but you know us, like you're more engaged in the video because like you know us, and then
the friendship part of it. Right?
yeah, and then the bullshit camaraderie part of it, you can relate to it because you're an
affiliated
Iowa guy.
with it, right?
Well, you're affiliated and you're an Iowa guy. Like there's something to that.
And I relate so much because you guys kind of partner up on the whole fishing thing, and Ryan and I trap together as a partnership as well.
Same concept.
It's the same concept.
I feel bad
right?
for both of you, to be honest.
I know.
I kind of suck.
But what kind of bottom of the barrel shit are they running?
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, you pick me over him.
My God. We need higher standards in this world. Tell my girlfriend that all the time. I'm like, why the hell would you settle?
And she don't listen either.
No.
And then
Idiot.
here I am.
All of
in this case.
Hey, but I will appreciate the old lady from the last podcast I was on. That lasagna was phenomenal.
She nailed it.
Right.
Nailed it.
Sure. I can't disagree.
I had a cheese stick this podcast, thankfully.
Wait, you got fed at the last podcast?
Yeah, I did.
Hey, I was gonna bring sandwiches for all
Yeah.
of us, but
That was our
place,
plan. That was our plan. Joby, I
It's
talked
the
to
intent
Joby.
that matters.
I talked to Joby today. He's like, "Don't worry about it. I'll bring pulled pork
pork.
sandwiches."
And I wasn't for sure if anybody likes spicy or
And
sweet,
yet I'm starving.
But I was gonna split
and
half and half.
And Dawson can't even talk because he can't get to eat. It's all Joby's fault. It's all Joby's
It's
fault.
all Joby's fault. I'm sorry, listeners, but it's Joby's fault.
All right. Let's
Jay, you're up next.
No, I mean, this is my third podcast. It's always fun hanging out with you guys and just laughing, telling stories. That's what this is all about. So no, for me right now, this time of year, we're trying to kind of shift gears a little bit. So Ryan and I got trapping season around the corner, and it'll sneak up faster than we think.
It does.
We
You're in the
are
field
we
all
are
the time
professional procrastinators. I mean legitimate. Very, very good. So what we've got to do, and I'm helping my dad and my brother through harvest, so I'm going to be staying up here. I'm staying here at the house for the week. But
That's true bromance right there.
Yeah, we've got to get together and we've got to get ready for trapping season because it never fails. Opening day hits and we kind of scramble around trying to get things ready to go. But when you think about it, November is just around the corner. So here we are doing this here, and we're already a week in October already, and it's like, holy cow, we're not ready yet.
You haven't done anything, right?
We've done nothing.
We're right on schedule.
Right. We're ahead of schedule. We'll be still on schedule tomorrow and the next week, you know.
And Rut's coming.
So but no, for
That's coming.
me, that's kind of what I'm at, and I'm already kind of thinking ice fishing actually. We just went to the river a few weeks ago, and I'm kind of thinking the same thing. Like, man, if it gets cold out, I kind of do a little more ice fishing this year.
Do it on the river. The river's fun. If it's low and it's cold and you get good ice, you can do some fun things on the river.
Well, was it last year or 2 years ago? Ryan and I were trapping. We got a call, and they were my dad and the guy who doesn't live too far from here were spearing carp and gar and some garbage fish.
I heard about that.
Now, have you done this before?
Catching channel
It's a blast.
No, I'm not saying that. Like, I'm sure it's a blast, but
That's great.
catching channel cats through the ice on the river. So I've done it on the rivers and the lakes, and when I was into ice fish. I've never been that much into ice fishing. Who am I kidding?
I hope I would really like to be able to go with this group ice fishing.
Well,
to be honest with you.
So what I was getting at with ice fishing is when I decided I'm going to get into ice fishing to the extent that I got into it, I'm going to devote myself to the channel catfish.
Of course, I would like to do that too sometime. I think it'd be a blast.
So what I was getting at is lake channel cats are snobs. You have your bait down there, and I've had days where a buddy with live scope sees every fish and identifies every single fish that swims by, and you get snubbed by legitimate 100 freaking catfish.
Another reason
Some
why
are
I
huge.
want the live scope.
Yeah.
Some of them are freaking huge.
So
Sure.
then you lead to a certain level of frustration because you have literally 100 5 to 15 pound channel cats that look at your bait and keep swimming and don't give a shit. But the ones on the river, they give a shit.
There you go.
On the lake, you'll hold your bait and they swim by and you don't know if they hit it or not, and then you kind of lift it and the rod tip bends and then you set the hook.
And then you
Where on the river they hit it and the rod tip goes blink.
That's
and
mine.
Right. Right.
Yeah, there's no question in it. So,
Especially when the water's so low.
well, that's the only
They're
time where
pulled
you
up.
can.
That's the only
really,
time. Right.
Really be safe.
I feel like as
Oh, give him the microphone.
we're at this point in time, it's a drought. We're fishing pools.
Yeah.
We're fucking fishing pools right now.
Which
We're fishing.
which
we're
in the
fishing
water,
pools.
in the winter,
We're fishing.
Most of the time.
that's where you're fishing. anyway. Yeah,
we know where the pools are at.
we do. There's 3 of them in
Am
this
I gonna
county.
fish them?
3 of them. Yeah, right.
No. It's bow hunt season.
Which I like that fishing part of it, but I've noticed on my auger there's still a dull factor when I'm using my auger that dulls my blades quicker than using drilling holes in a lake.
Like the blades dull quicker on a river versus a lake.
I
think
suppose
there's
the ice is
Way dirtier.
Still a little bit of debris that's freezing up as
I
it
could
goes.
totally
See
see
that.
that. I have not personally noticed that. Not saying it ain't real, but it's just something.
There's
I haven't
probably
noticed.
some facts to it.
Right.
When my dad and his buddy were down on the river spearing carp and gar and stuff, you don't auger anything. It's chainsaw, and you just cut out a trough, maybe 8 foot wide and 2 foot by 8 foot. Push that ice down, let it float away, and you got this big hole. And so when we got the call, hey, come down here and spear fish, right? And so
Yeah.
yeah, we're like, all right, well, we're on our way.
I'm in.
But the funny thing is, we get down there and the trucks are parked and everything, walk on the ice. And we're like, well, where is everybody? And they're gone. We're like, well, did they fall in? Like, where is everybody? And so I called Dad and I'm like, well, where are you at? He goes, are you guys ready? What do you mean, are you ready? We've never done this before. We don't know what in the hell he's
You were
talking
involved
about.
too?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so he goes, well, pick up a spear. And I'm like, what spear? They're in the back of the truck. Oh, we didn't get any. So we go back to the truck, grab spears, come back to the river. He goes, just stand over that trough and just wait. And we're looking at each other like idiots.
It's a
like,
snipe hunt.
Like there ain't no way.
like there's no way. Like exactly. Like what are we falling for, right? But we see a pile of carp. Like you can feed eagles for a month on these pile of carp. Like, well, they're obviously spearing fish. Well, around the corner and upstream, they got like hose and rakes and stuff, and they just kind of walk up down the river and just drag it across the ice.
Scare them to a certain spot.
It's like a deer drive.
It's like a deer
you're
drive.
driving deer.
And you're moving these fish, and you're standing over this little trough, just kind of waiting. And then all of a sudden, you see a fish go by. Like, you're almost scared. Like, there's a carp, right? Did you see a carp? Well, yeah, I just saw one go by too. What are we supposed to do? Well, stab it, And so we're like, all right. And then we miss. We pull it back out, and I didn't get nothing. And then finally hit one. Geez, I think I got one. You pull it out and throw it in the ice, and I tell you what, it's a lot of fun.
Right.
I believe that.
I would
It's
like
a
to.
blast.
I would like to experience it.
It was an absolute blast. We had no idea what we were getting into.
Jay got a gar.
I
I
got
got a gar the first
same-
stab. I was like, that's a
Yes.
gar. We threw it out there.
Yes.
It's a blast.
So my
So
dad
much
did the
fun.
same
So
thing
much
to
fun.
me.
He led you on a snipe hunt.
Led me on a snipe hunt. Chopped ice to the hut. chainsaws were happening, and we were running mowers. We were running mowers up and down the fucking ice.
Mowers?
You were
Mowers?
on a
Mowers.
riding lawn. You were on the
No,
old
we were running mowers up and down the ice with.
Were they push mowers or were they
They're
riders?
push mowers.
So you
With
Be a lot
chains.
cooler if they were riders.
they would. I'm imagining
Zero turn
on the ice. Right?
I'm sorry, but my dad was not gonna let me do that. It'd been a lot cooler if he did.
That's good.
But at the same time, they were like stabbing fish.
It was a blast.
And when
You're
they-
so drunk, it cracks me up.
and completely legal in Iowa.
I love
so
you
you
too,
can stab
Spence.
Being
the
drunk
At the
and
same time, they were.
stabbing
what is it?
fish. Yeah.
the gar, the carp, kind of the
Rough
you know,
fish.
the rough fish. Totally legal to spear in Iowa.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So unlimited.
Absolute blast.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can kill
See,
as many as you
I love
want.
that idea.
Yeah. There's no limit. You pop.
I want invited on that next one.
Oh,
'cause
That's the only time I've ever done it.
Yeah.
it's a bucket list thing for me. Just like when our last podcast about bow fishing.
Yeah.
I've looked into that pretty
It's
hardcore
a very
since the last one.
attainable bucket list thing.
Yes.
So you should not wait. Just do it.
Yeah.
I
Like,
know.
because when I think of obstacles for bucket list things, I think of finances, where for you, it's just time. So just allocate some time and freaking do it.
So you literally go.
But you also got to know the people that do it though
You,
too.
you don't
instead of-
have to, but it does
we
make
need
But
to
it
I don't
know
better.
have.
that.
I don't have a spear. I mean, I got a chainsaw, but I don't have
But listen, you go
The
to
spear's an
the
important
knowledge.
part.
Right,
That's an important
Right.
part because
I don't have any of that or the knowledge of. Do
There's-
you go in 6 foot of water? Do you go in?
we
the-
were in probably 2 foot of water, but they do have to
You're
have
already
a spear
overthinking
with
it.
the
you go below.
barb because you got to be able to pull the fish back out. You know.
So you
There's
go
no
below.
rope hook to it.
You go below a deep hole. You find 2 foot of water. You send your buddies up past the deep hole. You push them out of the deep hole to 2 foot of water,
I got my buddy right
and
here.
you stab them,
Yep.
and it's cool.
Yeah, and it's
And the
cool.
bald eagles love it.
Yeah,
And
right.
When you hit one, you hit that. You know, the carp have that air bladder. You know, and when you hit it, there's an air bubble that comes up when you get a good one. You know, there's an air bubble. It's like, oh, then you know you got one. You just kind of hold it down and
A
float
very
back out. It's
satisfying
amazing.
air bubble.
It is. It's fantastic.
Slaughtering at its finest.
It is. It is. a
I like
slaughter.
that word right there.
It is a
Slaughtering.
slaughter. But it is. It's fun. Yeah. It was a blast.
But the funny thing is, we went to one of the 3 deepest holes in this county. Never once chased a channel cat. Never once chased a flathead past our trough.
They probably didn't give a shit about your rakes.
Probably.
It was sucker, and it was carp, and it was gar.
Gar. There's those three.
Really?
That's all you'd
Yep.
see. Yep. Wouldn't
Yeah.
see anything
I was just
else.
hoping to see this 50 go by, and I just of course, let him swim.
Right,
But I
yeah,
wanted
yeah.
to see him.
I'd like to
It's
do
fun.
it if you guys
It's a
do it
blast.
again.
I
It's a
got the
blast.
spot set
Yeah.
up, so the ice has got to be obviously thick enough to support you
Right.
and stuff like that.
Which
but-
it's starting off to a
It's-
good season if the weather's already
Well, and-
dropping now.
and we probably need the river to come up a little bit.
I wish it
It's pretty low right now.
Everything's low.
You can walk across and not get your ankles wet in a lot of
Right.
spots right now.
I don't
So-
like it. I
So
honestly
need a
don't
shallow.
like it.
What do you think that'll do for fish going in the winter? Do they find holes deep enough to
I'm
survive
glad
the
you brought
winter?
that up.
Or do you think the water level as low as it is? What do you think fish mortality is towards flathead population? What's your thoughts?
I don't think low water matters that much. And to add credence to that concept, think of all the ponds that have 6 feet of water that don't freeze out. And we're talking about bass.
Yeah.
We're talking about bluegills.
I've seen a lot of those though.
I think
I'm not
I
saying
think
they-
the same thing, especially in a river, because you've got current, and I think oxygen is probably more important than anything.
100%.
And so if you've got some flow,
But that's what you think.
And
that's not
the
necessarily reality.
well, I'm just giving you my thoughts. You correct me if I'm wrong.
okay.
Flathead in the wintertime, the metabolism slows down. So the flathead doesn't need to eat as much. It just needs to.
They don't eat it at all.
Or don't eat at all. Whatever they need to do to kind of.
That's
they
not
don't
what
really
I see.
hibernate, but they're going to slow down that metabolism.
Josh
So as
caught
long as
one in
they've
the
got some
wintertime,
flow
ice
and some
fishes.
oxygen, and that water temperature gets cold, they go into that. Not hibernation mode, but you
Dormant.
know what I'm saying. Kind of that dormant hibernation phase, and then when the water warms up, they go back at it. But do you think the water can get so cold? Do they get in a spot where they don't have enough water to survive that there's a fish mortality? Or do you think that they find a spot that's deep enough or in a hole or whatever, and they just kind of shut down like a turtle or, a bullfrog or, all these other species that they don't freeze to death either. They're all cold-blooded animals. What are your thoughts?
I don't think flatheads are the fish you got to worry about. I think flatheads are one of the more resilient fish in the Midwest and all the way across North America, and they're going to be just fine.
I agree.
I bring up the pond that's 6 feet deep that doesn't freeze out as an example, and granted some do, but I've never seen one that's froze out. So based off of my personal observations, I'm going to bet that 90 to 95% of them don't freeze out. So you figure each 6 foot hole with the water as low as it is right now, like fish are trapped. Mm-hmm. Like there's a spot that I hold near and dear to my heart that at certain water levels is a prime flathead wintering hole. And if we got a bunch of rain and the water came up 3 feet, the fish would pile in there.
All go there.
Like it would be dumb. If the water came up 12 feet, it would all head downstream to a reservoir.
Sure.
And they would go past that hole and not think twice. But if it came up 3 feet, they're all piling in. And then the fishing would be freaking amazing. But it's
now
so
and
low.
Next spring.
Yeah,
sure. Because they'd still be there for a while.
Yes. But it's so low they can't
move.
No,
they can't move.
Like the top end and the bottom end of that particular hole is 3 inches.
3 inches deep at the max. Yeah.
Yeah. And I made it in my jet boat somehow.
Right.
Like
So those
go fast
fish,
and don't slow down, right?
Those fish are dreaming of that spot.
Yeah.
But they'll never
Can't
get there.
there.
Yeah,
Right.
they can't.
So they will eat all winter long on them fish then?
No.
Or they just shut down?
They lay in the bottom.
They do?
Yeah.
Their metabolism completely changes.
I'm glad we brought that up because I've noticed farm ponds, certain lakes, that you see a lot of shad that need that oxygen, that need to be able to.
Shad are so finicky.
Right.
They're not a fish that's fair.
They're tough to keep alive in a bait tank.
Let's focus on a species and not a concept. Because a grizzly
Shad number one, hands down, every pond or lake that I've seen, or majority of the fish that are dead after a winter kill, that's what's laying on the bank.
So my point being is a grizzly bear is not a white-tailed deer. They're both mammals. They're both large. But a grizzly bear hibernates. A white-tailed deer is active all winter. So to say they're the same thing is ignorant. Just as to say that a flathead catfish and a blue catfish are the same critters is ignorant. Even though they're both catfish, one is omnivorous, one is extremely optimistic, one is extremely active in colder water temps, whereas a flathead they're dormant. They just lay there.
Okay.
I've
What about bullhead?
Bullheads are also omnivorous, different critters. They function differently. Like
I've seen some of them done in certain ponds and lakes.
I've seen a bullhead get caught through the ice, but they're not the same species. Like they have different requirements. They have evolved for different, to take advantage of different opportunities where a flathead has evolved to fill a totally different void, a totally different niche. But moral of the story is flatheads, I don't believe they eat in cold water. I don't know why it's a controversy. All the science suggests, like if you boil down to the real hardcore science, everything supports that they don't. I'm very open to the concept that this is incorrect. I would love for it to be incorrect because I'd love to be able to fish for flatheads 12 months out of the year in the Midwest.
Right.
But everything I'm seeing doesn't support that. Everything that all the science doesn't support it. So I'm just of the.
I like to hear that, to be honest with you, because that's the only fish in the river system besides walleyes, which in our river system here locally is not as good as the river that's 20 miles away.
Sure.
You know, so I'm intrigued more for that river for my toothy critters, and I hope that the flatheads in our area can make that.
Yeah,
They will.
they'll be fine.
And the walleyes probably will too. Like, think of all the flatland reservoirs or lakes that, like in the Dakotas, that are very, very, very shallow that you think of as perch lakes, but they have a good walleye population where it freezes. You know, it's like 8 feet deep and you have 3 feet of ice over the top and the walleyes are still fine.
See, that's where the fishery from those states to our states way different.
Right. So
Like
my point being
that's
is
a specific fish. Perch and walleye is hands down a fishery, and the Dakotas that I fish are a target fish, and they go overboard on them species in sloughs and lakes and whatever.
but
so
they
it's-
survive. That's
Sure.
the thing that
Some
really
do.
matters.
Most
You need
do.
to quit saying the shit that I say because that's fucking weird.
Well, I hate to bring reality into
He's just agreeing with you because
But my point being is I think everything, the sick fish, the old fish, and the young fish will be susceptible to issues, but it wouldn't be-
natural selection.
natural selection, and I think it'll be okay. Like, I'm not talking just flatheads. I'm talking walleyes. I'm talking everything. You know, I think they'll be okay.
Now, do I want after tomorrow, because I got my last guide trip tomorrow, do I want 3 foot of rain
Yes.
between now and it
Yes.
freezes?
100%.
Absolutely.
I would love that too.
These waters need flushed out.
Yes.
That's the natural progress
And water.
of getting away the impurities, recycling naturals.
Fresh.
Cycle.
We need fresh.
We
Yeah.
need water.
Yeah.
Because it's getting ugly.
It's gross.
Yeah.
It's low.
All right. So my last cast, we have Bigfoot Bushcraft, promo code Spencer Bauer, 15% off, badass fire starters, and Waterland sunglasses, promo code RC15, 15% off, badass sunglasses.
A lot of badasses.
And the
Yeah.
fish sauce is on the way.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
fish sauce is on the way.
It's not all on
Corey's,
me.
no, Corey's good crap, and hopefully he gets his reward.
I'm intrigued by
a lot
it.
of work in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I said,
But
it's
but
not,
look at his stuff for ice fishing. Look at
Yep.
Hey,
waxworm and black
once you
magic.
guys told me, it's implanted in the brain, dude. Like, just watching your guys' videos has already done that. But once I know it works for a guy that I know, it's more believable to me than
Sure,
watching
sure.
something else. You know what I mean?
Well, it's no game changer.
You were almost there. You were almost there. You know how bummed I was when I seen that the name of the podcast Game Changer?
Oh, it was perfect.
I had to. I had to.
Right.
So
I would have been disappointed if it hadn't been a game changer.
I'm gonna leave us on a story that happened last Saturday when I was on a guide trip.
Hand me a beer first.
So, Joby's been saying you guys' videos, and a lot of people say, oh, you're river certified and all this stuff, which I am not. Spencer poured his life into building this brand.
100%.
And I have had the enjoyment of being a very small piece
Part of that.
So I was at the bridge, past the bridge where I've been fishing my guide trips lately, because it's one of 3 spots within 3 hours of my house. My boat can actually get wet.
And it can get in the water.
Yes. Yes. So I was
enough.
there
Right.
and I was baiting up. We had just quit daytime fishing, pulled onto the sandbar, was getting out rods for the nighttime setup. And the people I was guiding, what is that guy doing? They said. And I looked up on the bridge, and it's a highway. It's a major highway that has a lot of traffic. There was a Suburban stop with a guy in the back with binoculars saying, "That's Ryan. Look, that's Ryan. From River Certified. That's Ryan."
You can hear him saying
Yes.
that.
So I look up and wave, and he's like, "I told you that was Ryan." So if that was you last Saturday, I appreciate it. But don't steal my spot because we didn't catch nothing.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Didn't
That's
even
pretty
get
cool,
an autograph
honestly.
That's awesome. That's
But-
fantastic.
I am not river certified. Spencer has built his life
Is the
around
main
that.
man, right?
And I am very lucky that have been able to share a small part of that. But
Half the time, I'm not even.
but it's
That's a
awesome
good
being recognized from something like that. So
It is
That's pretty cool.
Yes.
Like, if anybody sees me and apparently Ryan, like, stop by, say hi. Like, it's so cool to meet somebody who has a common interest.
Right,
Like, that's
right.
the biggest thing to me. I'm
Yes.
never going to snub anybody because the reality is, what are you going to talk about? Fishing.
Right.
I freaking love talking about fishing.
Right, right.
Ever since you started this, the name blew up. The River Certified is phenomenal, to be honest with you. Because even when I go somewhere, whether I'm in South Dakota with my kayak and I got that River Certified sticker, somebody has to say something. Do you know that, Spencer?
Do you really?
Yeah.
You run
Honestly,
into that? That's
every
so
time I
cool.
go to a boat ramp, everybody's like, "Oh, are you part of River Certified, or do you know Spencer?" I'm like, I know him. You know?
Episodes.
Yeah, right.
right.
But it's just the logo and the River Certified is the sole sales pitch of that, because everybody wants to be River Certified. Honestly,
I mean, anybody who fishes a river wants to be.
not even that though. It's
I
just,
took a picture with a baby at Casey's not more than a week ago.
Are you joking? Or?
No,
no,
truthfully,
I believe
they're
it.
like,
dude, you wouldn't believe how much it's blown up just by.
done really
I ain't
well.
got a sticker on my boat. I'm not even affiliated really, besides a sticker.
But we're buddies.
Right.
Like, that makes sense.
I know, but it's every person I've ran into knows River Certified. Dude, it's freaking sweet, to be honest with you.
No, you guys have done really good. And it's neat to see people catch fish and then they ask, "Am I River Certified now?" You know, when they catch that.
I
It's
love
cool.
that.
And I
Yes,
love that,
that's
right?
the part I
it's
like too.
fantastic.
Right.
Good for you guys.
Right.
You guys that are out there hitting the water and catching the species
And
of
wanting to
catfish
get
it's hard
that
to
title.
catch. And
to
they're looking for
River
that title.
Certified,
And
right.
you know what? And what does that title mean? Maybe it means something different to everybody.
Everybody.
Maybe that first flathead, I'm River Certified. Good for you. You damn right.
Channel
you are,
cat.
Right? Yeah, catch that channel cat. I don't care what it is. You know, it's
Anything
your first time
river.
fishing, and you catch something in the river, and you ask yourself, "Am I River
Hey.
Certified?" The answer is, you damn right you are.
Hey, let's drink to that River Certified,
Damn
That's
right
a
please.
good
you
one.
are. You're River Certified.
A little toast to River Certified.
I agree.
Cheers. Cheers. Joby beat us.
good work, buddy. Good work.
I'm proud of you. I really am.
And on a side note, out of 2 cases of beer, we have 3.
Yeah, look at the table.
3. 3
And
beers.
On that
We don't
note,
even know how Jeremy's not even here.
3.
He's passed out in the grass right now, guarantee it.
on that note, it was a fun podcast. Ryan's going to have a joy editing this. And
Yeah.
How many
thanks-
beeps are there going to be?
It's not going to be out for at
Hey,
least
you
2
want to bet
weeks.
the over-under on 30?
Thanks for
Gotta give
taking
me a
time
chance
to
to
listen.
get half my money back.
Thanks for taking the time to listen. Hope you all catch a giant.
Thanks, guys.
Love you guys.
Thanks, everybody.